Good morning, early morning, everyone. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here live to cover the Polaris Dawn Splashdown. The SpaceX Polaris Dawn mission is returning to Earth. It will splash down at this really interesting location off the coast of Dry Tortugas in Florida. Dry Tortugas, there's a Dry Tortugas National Park about 70 miles west of Key West, Florida. I've actually been there. So it's really interesting that it's going to splash down there off the coast of Dry Tortugas, Florida. And the scheduled splashdown time is 3:36 a.m. And starting in about 45 minutes, we should have a live stream from SpaceX that we can watch. So I decided to come on a little before the SpaceX live stream because we'll watch the SpaceX live stream via Reuters. But I decided to come on a little early so we could talk about things amongst ourselves, and then we can watch the SpaceX stream when that starts, if that sounds good. So we are going to bring you live coverage here and take your comments and questions. Hopefully the return to Earth goes safe for the crew of the SpaceX Polaris Dawn mission, in which back on Thursday, two of the crew became the first two people to take a private spacewalk. Not government mission spacewalk. That was the first time on Tuesday. And thanks, by the way, Mr. Blanks-a-lot. That's so generous of you. So nice of Mr. Blanks-a-lot to give all that support. Very, very kind of you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Also, Debbie James gave some people gift memberships. Thank you, Debbie. That's super nice of you. Thank you. And I want to thank our moderators here. Hello, Havasu Mom. Good to see you. Havasu Mom is moderating here for us. Thank you, Havasu Mom. Linda Belk and Larry moderate for us on X. Over there on Twitch we have A Moment of Lovely is moderating. Thank you. And let me pull up the Facebook chat too. Let me pull that up. We have Kay Lowry Body is moderating, and Raven Lynn and Ronald Egnor all moderating. Thank you. I want to show you where Dry Tortugas is. It's a really neat place. Let me show you on the map where Dry Tortugas is. I just need to pull this up here on the map. So give me a moment. I'm pulling it up right now on the map. Dry Tortugas. So there's Florida, and there's the Florida Keys. It's easier if I do it this way. There's Key West right here, and then about 70 miles west of Key West is Dry Tortugas. And there's this, there's a national park with this really cool 1800s fort there, and a bunch of islands, and you can take a boat or fly there from Key West. Where is the fort? Right here. There's the fort right there. Fort Jefferson. Historic 19th century Civil War fort. So they get a lot of visitors there. People go there from Key West, for example. A lot of people go there from Key West. So it's a really neat place. But that they're landing off the coast of Dry Tortugas. I have been there. I was there earlier this year. It's really neat. It's really, really neat. So that's where they're going to be landing somewhere. I'll actually show. I'm going to show you. I have the FAA flight restriction in the area, so I'll show you where that is in a second. Our viewer Spoon says you can't land a space shuttle in the ocean. It's going to be a splashdown in the water. This is Eastern time. I see no reason why it wouldn't be Eastern time. So the same time as in the clock in the corner. Yeah, it's Eastern time. Let's see here. No, it is landing in the water. It's not landing on land. It's landing in the water. Splashdown. Off the coast of Dry Tortugas. Let me read a few more comments here. Yes, there are 4 crew members in it. There are 4 crew members. I had never even heard about Dry Tortugas until a couple years ago. Then our viewer Sean TV mentioned it. But it's a neat place. Oh, thank you so much to Tundra Jason. Thanks so much for your support, Tundra Jason. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's very nice of you. Somebody made a comment over there on X, and now I can't see it. I saw it before. I might have to pull it up on my phone. Let me just do that real quick, because I was going to read the comment from X, but kind of disappeared on me. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I don't know if I'll be able to. Oops. Yes, it was Who Cares Ghost. It says we are about to see a splashdown. Let me just mention a little more about Dry Tortugas because it's interesting. That's where the landing is. It's off the coast of Dry Tortugas, Florida. Yeah, right now it's 1:54 Eastern Time, as you can see in the corner. The splashdown scheduled for 3:36. Dry Tortugas National Park. This is from Wikipedia. That is this fort, which is huge, but it's not used anymore. And it was a fort built for the time when shipping was important in that area. But it's really like the middle of nowhere, basically. There's this giant fort. It's pretty incredible. It's a Dry Tortugas National Park. It's a national park in the United States, located about 68 miles west of Key West in the Gulf of Mexico. The park preserves Fort Jefferson and the several Dry Tortugas islands, the westernmost and most isolated of the Florida Keys. There's no stores there or anything. It's just that fort and a few islands, basically. The archipelagos. Is it archipelago? I never remember this. It's probably archipelago. It's archipelago. How about that? Chain or cluster or collection of islands. That's from Wikipedia. But the archipelago's coral reefs are the least disturbed coral reefs in the Florida Keys. Anyways, the park is known for its abundant sea life, colorful coral reefs, and shipwrecks and sunken treasures. The park's centerpiece is Fort Jefferson, a massive but unfinished coastal fortress. Fort Jefferson is the largest brick masonry structure in the Western Hemisphere, composed of more than 16 million bricks. Dry Tortugas is unique in its combination of largely undisturbed tropical ecosystem with significant historic artifacts. The park is accessible only by seaplane or boat and has averaged about 63,000 visitors annually in the period from 2008 to 2017. Anyways, it's a really cool place. But it's interesting that they're landing off the coast of Dry Tortugas. So if you happen to be there, you'd probably be able to see them come down at night. I believe people when I visited there, there were ships. So I believe some people, what they do is like they take their boats and they hang out there. You know, if somebody has like a nice boat and they go around with their friend, they go cruising around in their boat, they can go and you can have your boat near there and just kind of, I don't know what it's called when you put the anchor down and you stay there for a day or two or whatever. You're not really camping, but for all I don't know if people have gone out, if people knew that the landing was going to be there, because if there's boats out there, they might get a nice view of this landing. Although I don't know. You know, now one of our viewers, the man, says, "What if it hits the boat?" So there must be some kind of provision for not having boats in the area. Anchoring, say our viewers. My guess is that I don't know exactly where it's. My guess is it's not literally landing like 100 feet away from the fort. My guess is it's somewhere far enough out that there's no risk of it, like coming. You know, no huge risk of it coming down in this area right here. But this is a national park. It's really interesting. No, I don't think I did anything from my other channel on it. I don't think. I showed when I got back on my personal channel, I showed some photos from there. But let me show you guys the FAA airspace restriction for tonight, which tells you where it's going to land, I think, or where the intentional landing is. Okay, see, look at this. It's this one right here. See the circle? Can you see the circle? So remember, this is Key West. This is the Florida Keys, and Key West is the westernmost key. And then over here that's Dry Tortugas right there. See our map? Let's go to our map. This is Key West. Key West is that's also a neat place to visit. It's fun. That's Key West, the westernmost. I don't know if it's technically the westernmost island, the westernmost big island. And then about 70 miles west of Key West, you have Dry Tortugas here. And you can see the flight restriction is near Dry Tortugas, although it looks like it's a bit north of it. If I read this here, I'll read it to you. You can see here, Tortuga, Florida, beginning time and date. That's 3:22 a.m. Eastern time. From 3:22 a.m. Eastern time to 5:52 a.m. Eastern time. Space, reason for notice to airmen, space operations area. Type, space operations. From the surface to unlimited, you cannot be, it's a radius of 8.5 nautical miles. Altitude from the surface to unlimited. No aircraft can be in that area, no matter how high. It says, if you look down at the bottom here, it says aircraft supporting the recovery of the space vehicle are exempt from this TFR. I don't know exactly how the landing works. I have to look that up. I don't know the exact mechanism. So there you go, guys. But again, when I looked at this, it seemed to be a little north of. I think right there, that little speck there is is like the national park. Can I zoom in anymore? I don't think it's letting me zoom in anymore. Our viewers Zach and channel re-uploads are saying parachutes. I wonder if it says it on the on the SpaceX on the Polaris Dawn website. I'm sure they'll explain it all on the live stream. That live stream, the SpaceX, is supposed to start in 20-30 minutes. Hey, Rick Hoppy is here. Rick says it sounds like it's going to be a splashdown. Whenever I go to this site, I always get the wrong page. Why is that? Whenever I go to the Polaris Dawn page, I get the intro page. Oh, updates. Hold on, I can do it this way. I'll get it this way. Yeah, so this is the SpaceX page right there, and it says, after launching to orbit on Tuesday, Dragon and the Polaris Dawn crew will return to Earth on Sunday, September 15th, splashing down at approximately 3:36 a.m. Eastern Time off the coast of Dry Tortugas, Florida. This is from the SpaceX website. A live webcast of return will begin about an hour prior to the splashdown. We will be watching that via Reuters. During their mission, Dragon and the crew reached 1408.1 kilometers, the highest Earth orbit ever flown since the Apollo program in 1972. Since 1972, they participated in the first ever extravehicular activity (EVA) from Dragon, wearing SpaceX-developed EVA suits. That was the first private spacewalk ever. They've conducted research studies and experiments and tested Starlink-based communications in space. There are 4 people in the crew, and the mission is being paid for in a large amount, I don't know exactly the amount, by Jared Isaacman, who is one of the crew, and he is a billionaire entrepreneur who was the first person to take a private spacewalk. Jared Isaacman. It was him and Kid Poteet and 2 SpaceX engineers. Oh, and here is the schedule. Here's the schedule, the return timeline from SpaceX. This is literally from them. Now, I don't know what all these things mean, but SpaceX says 2:35 a.m. trunk jettison, 2:40 a.m. deorbit burn is when you start firing engines, rockets, rocket engines. But you basically are firing thrust to slow the aircraft down, the spacecraft down, deorbit burn, to get it out of orbit. So the deorbit burn goes on for about 7 minutes, I guess. Then they close the nose cone. Drogue parachutes and main parachutes. So the drogue parachutes, I remember this from the last thing, from when we covered the landing of Boeing Starliner. I think it was a week or 2 ago. The drogue parachutes are the parachutes that come out when it's going really fast, and they help slow it down. And then the main parachutes come a minute after that, and then it'll splash down in water. Okay. Could you see it if you went outside? I'm guessing at certain areas you could. I don't have an exact map of that from them though. Retro AI says same kind of landing as, well, not the exact same, but same kind of landing as Starliner. Boeing Starliner lands on land. Boeing Starliner lands with airbags on land, going like 4 miles an hour, slowed down by the parachutes. This is going to be landing on water. Storm74 says, glad they are coming home. Thanks so much to Betty Eftergood. Hey, that's really nice of you, Betty. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much, Betty. And thanks also to Dean Dwan for your support. Thank you, Dean. I very much appreciate that. Thank you, Dean. Also, in Sherry in Atardis, is NORAD tracking it? That I do not know. I assume NORAD, well, I just have to look up what the kind of stuff they track. But NORAD provides aerospace warning, air sovereignty, and air protection for Canada, the United States, continental United States. I assume they know where it is, given that they're responsible for air defense. But I don't have like a NORAD webpage that's a live tracker of the SpaceX vehicle, if that's what you're asking. If that's what you're asking, I don't have that. I assume they'd be aware of where it was. But you might have been asking about an actual tracker page. I don't have that for this. Hired Gun says NORAD tracks everything that flies. It's their job. Yes, there are 4 crew members on this spacecraft that are going to be coming home. This is the crew that did the spacewalk. We covered the spacewalk a couple nights ago. Remember this? Remember this? Hold on. Let me jog your memory. For those who don't remember, do you remember this? Look. Remember this? Tech billionaire pulls off first private spacewalk high above Earth. Remember we were watching this a couple nights ago? This is from Associated Press. It's the same crew. Same crew. Seth says it was epic. Dylan Antelek says, I don't remember. Urock says, I remember. It's this crew. And they opened up the spacecraft, and 2 of them took spacewalks, but the other 2, they were inside the craft, but the craft was exposed to space on the inside because the craft was open. So they were all being protected by their spacesuits. That was the only thing between them and the vacuum of space was their spacesuits. All of them. So this is the craft, but it's coming back to Earth. Wow, Mr. Blanks-a-lot, that is so nice of you. Mr. Blanks-a-lot, extremely generous tonight. Thank you so much. That's really, really kind of you. Thank you. That's Jared Isaacman right there. It says, the first private spacewalk led by tech billionaire Jared Isaacman. And then this was, the other person who took the spacewalk was Sarah Gillis, SpaceX engineer. That's when she was climbing out of the capsule. That's them in the capsule. They opened this hatch at the top. And then that's Sarah Gillis during her spacewalk. That's from Associated Press. Hey, thanks to Game Slayer 1889 for your kind words. Thank you. So we're bringing you live coverage. And again, the splashdown is supposed to be off the coast of Dry Tortugas, which is a really cool national park 70 miles west of Key West, Florida. There's Fort Jefferson right there. This fort, this 19th century fort. You might say, why did they build this giant, well, they didn't even complete it, but why were they building this giant fort in the middle of nowhere? Well, from what I remember, it was an important shipping area at the time. It was a very important shipping area. Probably says it on the Wikipedia page. Fort Jefferson, a former U.S. military coastal fortress, the largest brick masonry structure in the Americas. Over 16 million bricks. It was a naval station that was built to help suppress piracy in the Caribbean. It says here. Anyways, it's pretty incredible. Now, I don't know if the purpose changed later, because it was being used for decades, I believe. Anyways, you can read about Fort Jefferson on Wikipedia. Also, look, the lighthouse continued to serve a vital function in guiding ships through the waters of the Dry Tortugas Islands, including until the current metal light tower was installed atop an adjacent wall of the fort in 1876. Anyways. Oh, thanks to Crazy Yoda. Thank you, Crazy Yoda. Crazy Yoda likes when I say Mr. Blanks a lot. Thank you, Crazy Yoda. I appreciate that. All right, so SpaceX is supposed to start their stream in about 15 minutes. So when SpaceX start their stream, you have access to that through Reuters, and we'll watch that and we'll talk about it. But in the few minutes we have before the SpaceX stream, I'm going to take some more of your comments on the air. And let me just do something real quick here, if you give me a moment. Yes, actually, it might start in about 5 minutes. I don't know. I'm supposed to get access to it around 2:30. So, just to remind you, it's this mission that's coming home. The one that took. It's a private space mission, funded in significant part by tech billionaire Jared Isaacman, who was one of the crew, and two of the crew took the first private spacewalk ever on Thursday. All right, if you have comments, questions, and you want to ask them now, you can write to me on X at Lookner. You can put them in the chat. I'll be checking my messages, but also looking at the looking at the chat comments. James Stravers says, I found a live feed from YouTube that's supposed to be of the Polaris Dawn. Well, I'm not aware of it. SpaceX, I don't believe, is live, so I'm not aware of it. I can't show it anyway, even if it is live, because I don't have the rights to it. But I don't know. I know SpaceX is not live, so I don't know who else would be showing a live feed of Polaris Dawn. Unless you mean it's some sort of like animation of Polaris Dawn or something. Thanks, James, for writing in. Carol Randall Style says, this is very exciting. I am viewing from Hampshire in the UK. T. Porter says the incoming flight path will go across the Yucatan Peninsula near the tip of Cuba before splashdown, not visible in the U.S. Yeah, according to the SpaceX site, they have it moving across Mexico towards Florida from southwest to northeast. Roughly speaking, on the SpaceX site, roughly speaking, actually, maybe I can pull this up, but roughly speaking on the SpaceX site, they have it, they have the craft going this way, going from southwest to northeast. So that our viewer is correct in that it will not be, right before it lands, it's not going to be passing over the continent, the U.S., anywhere in the U.S. NASA feed. Why would NASA have a live shot of the Polaris Dawn? Because it's not a NASA mission. Somebody mentioned a NASA aircraft. I can check Flight Radar 24. I can check the flight trackers. I'm not seeing anything on Flight Radar 24 out there. Oh, there is. Oh, there's a NASA aircraft. Look at this. Yes, that's a NASA aircraft. Good eye. It took off from Houston. Is that 11:48 local time or Eastern time? I don't even know. Regardless of how long it's been flying for, that NASA aircraft does appear to be heading out to the area where this thing is going to make splashdown. Where is, because Dry Tortugas National Park is right here. That's where Dry Tortugas is. And there's the aircraft. So maybe that NASA aircraft is there to help with the recovery. I'm not sure, but or maybe it's there to help observe maybe this aircraft is going to be, this is at 45,000 feet. Maybe this aircraft is going to observe and maybe film or video the spacecraft as it's coming down. Zach says NASA helps provide camera feeds and observe the splashdown. I feel like maybe an aircraft like this is what was helping about 30,000 feet in the air when the Starliner came down and we covered it. So, but that is heading, it looks like, for the Dry Tortugas area. Good spot by our viewer. Gary Eckert says it was exactly the same plane with Starliner. Maybe it was exactly the same plane. I don't remember. Hold on a second here. Oh, you know what? I found one of our viewers mentioned the NORAD ID for Polaris Dawn, and I was able to find it. Hold on. I can show you a track of Polaris Dawn. I can show you a track of it. Hold on a second here. Uh-oh. Give me a moment here. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. I'm going to show you the track. Give me one moment. I'm pulling it up here. I'm pulling it up here. I found it. Wow, nice. I didn't realize they were tracking it. Where is it here? Okay, so I'm gonna show you this from the site n2yo.com. This is a cool tracking site, ny20.com. They track satellites, and this is Polaris Dawn. They're tracking Polaris Dawn. It's right there. There it is. So ny20.com, you can go there yourself. Sorry, n2yo.com. I want to thank them. I actually have their permission to show their site, which is really nice of them. But just know that for tracking stuff, you can go to this site, n2yo.com. It's right on your screen. You can see it. You can see the name of the site at the top. So that is Polaris Dawn. Altitude 267, 166 miles. Got a speed. n2yo.com. How about that? That's really neat. Marin Gobra says, I use them and others for tracking amateur satellites. So I think once SpaceX starts their stream, they'll have information on it too. But they haven't started their stream yet, SpaceX. There it is right there. Polaris Dawn, see? We can zoom in. Look, if we zoom in, you can see it moving. It's a neat site. n2yo.com. Check it out. SpaceX is live. Did they go live? I had it on here. No, it's not live. Why do people say things that are false? Why do they say things that are false? Oh, it is. I just had to refresh it. It's not. They are live. Okay, hold on a second. People do say things in the chat that are false, but they are actually live. I literally had it on, but it didn't automatically start. Why did it not start automatically? I had to literally refresh it. All right, hold on. What I need to do now, I think I'm supposed to get access to it at 2:30. I have the SpaceX stream via Reuters, and Reuters is supposed to start showing the SpaceX stream in 5 minutes. So hopefully Reuters maybe can go a couple minutes earlier and go to this. As soon as Reuters starts showing it, I can show it to you. But Reuters isn't showing it yet. So I have to wait until Reuters shows it. Thanks for letting me know it had started. I had it up and it was just sitting there on the SpaceX page. It didn't automatically start. I literally had to refresh it to make it start. I can't steal their stream directly. I have to use it in a way I have rights to use it. I have rights to use it because I pay Reuters. So I can't just steal their stream directly. I have to wait till Reuters starts showing it. But as soon as they do, again, Reuters is supposed to start showing it in 4 minutes. So we'll put that up there for you. Sorry I can't go to it yet, but in a couple minutes. I think what happens is sometimes Reuters estimates the start time. So they just start at that time. Hey, thanks to our member Ivan. Thanks also so much to Robinski T from Australia for your support. And our members, the Ringa X and Crazy Yoda. Thank you. So in a couple minutes, hopefully, we'll be joining the SpaceX coverage. You can see on n2yo.com, you can see where it is. And yeah, things are going to start happening soon. According to the SpaceX schedule, they said the trunk jettison, which is the first event they have listed on the return timeline, is at 2:35 a.m. and the deorbit burn is at 2:40 a.m. Hopefully in about 2 minutes, I'll have the SpaceX live stream for you. And a reminder, this is, just to go over this again, this is the private mission. It's not a NASA mission. It's a private mission, a SpaceX mission. This is the crew of 4 people, 2 of whom took the first ever private spacewalk on Thursday. And now they are going to land tonight right near the Dry Tortugas National Park, about 70 miles west of Key West in Florida, which is neat. That's where they're going to be. So we're going to be covering it live. No, the deorbit burn is in at 2:40, according to SpaceX, which is in 11 minutes. That's in it starts at 2:40. Again, in 1 minute, according to Reuters, their coverage is supposed to start at 2:30. So hopefully in 1 minute, I'll have the access to the SpaceX feed, and I can just put it up there. That's all I'm waiting for right now. Keeping an eye on that. And thanks again to all of our moderators who are here. Havasu Mom and Cynthia Moon are moderating. Thank you. Linda Belk and Larry, thanks so much. And also A Moment of Lovely, I Got That Fire, and Sarah, thank you. And thanks Kay Lowry, Body, Margaret Riley, Raven Lynn, and Ronald Egnor for modding on Facebook. All right. It's 2:30, so any moment now, Reuters should be going live, and I should be able to go to the SpaceX stream. Any moment now. But they haven't gone yet. I keep looking at the Reuters site, waiting for them to activate their coverage, their stream. AP is live with SpaceX coverage. That doesn't help me because I don't have the rights to show AP stuff. As soon as the Reuters one starts, I will show it. Should be any moment now. Normally Reuters gets it right when they start, but tonight they're a little late. So I apologize. I apologize. It literally says on the site 2:30. It's now 2:31. Reuters is officially a minute late. Yeah, N2YO is cool. You can look up different satellites there. You can look up the space station and track it there. Have you tried to get AP? It's very, all these things are very expensive. They're very expensive to have. Even the ones I have are very expensive. There's a limit in funds. There's a thing called a budget. I wish I could just get everything, but you got to make choices. All right, Reuters is still not live. I'm annoyed. Sorry, guys. I really want to get this up there for you, but I can't yet. I can only play it when they start it. I already reached out to them to ask. I'm sure they'll put it up there soon. They're usually not late like this. But there's nothing I can do at this moment. I just have to wait for them. I just have to wait for them. Oh, it's starting now. I got it. It's about to start. Reuters is about to start their coverage. All right, let me get it up here. I'm meaning they're about to start showing the SpaceX coverage. Okay? They just activated it over at Reuters. Within moments, I should be able to show it to you. Hopefully. What's happening here? Oops. It's going to like just come on. See, it says this live event has not yet started. Any moment now, it'll come on.
And they'll be back here on planet Earth. Now, some information about Dragon for those who have not tuned into our Dragon missions previously. From the beginning, SpaceX designed the spacecraft for human spaceflight. While it can carry up to 7 passengers, right now it's only carrying 4. And it is the first private spacecraft to take humans to the International Space Station. In fact, this exact capsule that our Polaris Dawn crew is flying in first went to, or its first mission was the Crew 1 mission, and it went to the International Space Station. Oh, and look, our first views of the crew this morning inside Dragon Resilience. On your far left side of the screen is mission specialist Anna Menon. She is also the medical officer on board for this mission. To her left, or our right, is our pilot Scott Kidd Poteet. To the right of Kidd is Jared Isaacman. He's the commander of the Polaris Dawn mission. And on the far right side, at the other window seat, is other mission specialist Sarah Gillis. Both Anna and Sarah are our SpaceX co-workers, and it's been such a joy to watch them experience spaceflight through their eyes as SpaceX employees who, in their day job, have helped train other astronauts for their human spaceflight missions. And so it's just so incredible to see Sarah and Anna now having their own spaceflight.
Yeah, I still can't believe it. You know, we got to see and talk to them this morning, and it was just so cool to see our SpaceXers on the other side floating in space. And I love the space hair. That was probably my favorite part.
Oh, of course. So we are anticipating our Polaris Dawn crew to return and splash down about 12:36 a.m. Pacific time or 3:36 a.m. Eastern time. And they are splashing down off the coast of Florida. And we're very much looking forward to getting them home. I have ordered a copy of Anna's book, and I will definitely be asking her to sign it when she gets back.
Oh, I definitely ordered one as well.
SpaceX nominal turn jettison.
Copy that, SpaceX. We share the same and felt the same.
All right, good news there. We just heard that the trunk has been jettisoned or separated, which is great news. Like we were saying before, we had to basically unconnect with the trunk in order to expose the heat shield, which is the most important thing when it comes to re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. And we're doing that trunk separation now so that the trunk and the capsule don't return together in the same trajectory. So good news there that the trunk is now jettisoned.
Yeah, exactly. So that means that telemetry is looking good. The nitrox system is primed for cabin and suit cooling. And again, the heat shield is exposed and ready for atmospheric reentry. Now, Dragon will slew, or what we call maneuver, itself into the correct position to deorbit, to do the deorbit burn here in just a few minutes. Now, for the deorbit burn, this is the last time that the forward Dracos, which are the 4 thrusters located on top of the vehicle, will ignite. The deorbit burn will place Dragon on a precise trajectory to return to the splashdown zone off Dry Tortugas in the Florida Keys and will last about 7 minutes long. Dry Tortugas is a new landing location for Dragon that our teams activated in a couple weeks just prior to the Polaris Dawn mission's launch earlier. This is the first time that we will be returning Dragon to the Dry Tortugas splashdown site, which is pretty exciting.
I was personally very excited to hear this because I did a presentation about Dry Tortugas National Park when I was in middle school. So wow. I knew exactly where they were going when I heard the name.
Full circle moment there.
Indeed. So we were talking a little bit about the different burns that the Dragon capsule does in order to deorbit and return to Earth safely. There are 16 Draco thrusters used to orient the spacecraft throughout the mission, including apogee and perigee maneuvers, as well as orbit adjustments and attitude control. For the deorbit burn, that only fires 4 of the Draco thrusters on the perimeter of the nose cone, basically located around the Skywalker that we saw in action during the EVA. And it was incredible to see that, but it's those 4 Draco thrusters that we saw there that are basically going to be doing all of the work for this deorbit burn. Each Draco thruster is capable of generating 90 pounds of force in the vacuum of space. And it's pretty cool to see them in action. We actually saw some video captured while they were doing some orbital adjustments earlier in the week posted to X that I just thought were so cool because you also got to see some earthly lights from the ground in the background as well.
Oh, yeah. The views from this mission were incredible. We got to see a lot of things.
They're making their way back to Earth again. They are going to be splashing down off the coast of Florida.
I was muted. I was muted. I was muted.
36 a.m. Eastern Time. There are.
I'll repeat what I said in a second.
Still coming up. We're going to close the nose cone. That will help protect the forward hatch during re-entry. And it also means that we will not be using the forward bulkhead Draco thrusters any longer. Basically, this deorbit burn is the last time that those will be utilized.
Yeah, and we are expecting that deorbit burn any minute now. And again, that's going to help put Dragon on the trajectory towards the splashdown zone. And again, as a reminder, they are still currently in space in orbit and have not re-entered the Earth's atmosphere just yet. That's what this deorbit burn is going to help them adjust to that trajectory, and then they will perform the entry of Dragon back into Earth's atmosphere.
All right. I'm interrupting for 2 seconds to point out, one of our viewers mentioned this, there's now a NASA helicopter in addition to a NASA plane near the actual landing site. So check this out. This is, there's the Florida Keys. This is Florida. There's Florida. There's the Florida Keys. About 70 miles west of Key West is this really cool place, Dry Tortugas National Park. I've actually been there. It's really cool. They're landing near there, and you can see there is a NASA helicopter. There's a NASA plane here, and then there's a NASA helicopter here. Both there, and there is Dry Tortugas. They're going to be landing off the coast of Dry Tortugas. Thanks, by the way, to Robinski T for your support. All right, back to the coverage.
off the Florida Keys. Now, right now, the crew are using their screens to keep tabs on the burn duration, Draco thruster firings, and trajectory details like entry angle, capsule perigee, velocity, and how much time remains until the deorbit burn termination. And that's because they want to monitor this because they are going to hear a lot of different sounds with the burns going on. So Dragon is currently flying free itself.
Look at that.
And so all the crew has to do is stay strapped into their seats and keep an eye on things. And there you can see the screen and some cool new stickers there.
Great, Scott.
I love that.
I love to see how they add their own personality, like just right there in the middle, that 1.21 gigawatts, obviously referring to Back to the Future. It is worth noting that that Jared has actually flown in this capsule in the commander seat once before, as he was the commander of the Inspiration 4 mission. Just a quick note here, these are those Draco thrusters at the forward bulkhead, as well as the Skywalker mobility aid that we saw tested out during the extravehicular activity, or EVA. It seems almost sad and heartbreaking to not see, a person hanging out there. Those views were just so incredible that seeing an empty forward hatch just...
We'll come back.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll do it again. But what an incredible spacewalk we had earlier this week, and just some cool views that we had there from the nose cone looking back down on Earth. And again, as we mentioned, the crew is using their displays just to monitor. Dragon is fully autonomous, so it's doing all these maneuvers on its own, and the crew's just watching, monitoring, making sure they know when the burn is going and when it's going to conclude and how much time is left. And we do just have a few more minutes. Again, this deorbit burn, they're currently in the deorbit burn, and this burn should last just about 7 minutes, and we're about halfway through at this point.
All right, so again, they're going to be landing off the coast of Dry Tortugas.
I love this view here. So just for a little bit of frame of reference, on the left side of the screen is Commander Jared Isaacman, and the right-hand side of the screen is pilot Scott Poteet, although he prefers to go by his call sign Kid. And I think that this is such a great view because it really gives you an idea of what they are looking at, in addition to the tablets that they have strapped onto their legs. You can see the procedures that they are following along with, as well as the display that illustrates which Dracos are firing at what point. Now, this deorbit burn is still underway.
That's Flight Radar 24 right there, showing the NASA helicopter and NASA plane going towards the landing area.
That might
right there.
be Australia.
So I put that up there from Flight Radar 24.
Yeah, according to our Dragon
that's
tracker,
Australia.
that is the west coast of Australia.
It's so cool almost to see the difference. If you watched, earlier this week, they made it over 1,400 kilometers away from Earth. They got a nice round view of the globe. And now you can see that they're much closer to Earth with just a very small slice of Earth that they could see in that view.
I'm supplementing their coverage by putting up stuff like this. That's from N2YO. You can see they're off the coast of Australia, over the coast of Australia.
Now, if you're curious
N2YO,
as to where Dragon is, you can, of course, follow Dragon yourself. We have it on our website, spacex.com/follow-dragon. And
N2YO.com.
Dragon is along its path.
And Flight Radar 24 shows you the helicopter and plane from NASA going towards the landing area.
And you can see how fast they will move as they will be splashing down off the coast of Florida. And they're just passing by Australia right now. We do expect splashdown to happen in about 30 minutes or so.
Wait, what? I thought 50 minutes. I think she made a boo-boo.
Now, that's a nice way to travel really fast. I'd like to take one of these next time I go.
Is it 30
on an
minutes now?
international flight.
That's faster than anticipated. Well, we'll see. I'm not aware that they switched it, but.
And just such great clear views. This is a nice treat for us to be able to see this. And we do have just about a minute remaining in this burn. Again, this will be the last burn for these Draco thrusters at the forward bulkhead. And once this is complete, then we can close the nose cone. We do close the nose cone in preparation for re-entry. And that helps allow us to reuse the capsule, makes reusable a lot easier when you can open and close the nose cone. Previous Dragon designs, we did jettison the nose cone. Now we keep it attached, so in preparation for entry, we do close and lock that nose cone.
One of the viewers said, "Are you really allowed to land in a national park?" I don't know that. I don't think they're landing in the national park. I think it's like near Dry Tortugas.
For those that have just recently,
but I don't know for sure though. I don't know for sure.
We successfully separated the trunk from the Dragon capsule.
Look at that! Look at that
and
view.
And these are just such amazing views.
Dragon.
That's
SpaceX,
Australia.
Deorbit burn complete. Performance nominal. Nose cone closure initiated.
We show
Just to show you what nose cone close.
Confirmation there that we had a successful and nominal deorbit burn. So we're now going to see the nose cone begin its closing process. It takes a couple minutes for this to fully complete. As
we're going to close this cone here.
I think we can see some shadows moving here, which means that we're about to lose this gorgeous view.
This is an incredible view. And as we mentioned earlier, the vehicle is doing a slew, so it is maneuvering to orient that heat shield a little bit more towards the Earth. And that helps prepare us for reentry.
Yeah. And we can see that nose cone coming into view now there in the top left corner.
Interesting.
Once it is all the way down, there will be some hooks that lock in to make sure that it is locked up, as Jesse had said earlier. Once again, we will not be using the forward bulkhead Draco thrusters anymore.
Honestly, this view is just so cool to see everything that's happening. You still see Earth, you've got Dragon maneuvering, you've got the nose cone closing, and you get to see the Skywalker mobility aid all in one.
That guy from that thing says, "Don't shut it." I think they got to shut it. It's unfortunate, but they do what they got to do. Look at that. Thanks to Angela R. and Ann Fitzgerald, our member, and Robinski T. Thank you. And Mr. Blanks-a-lot. Thank you.
We can see that nose cone coming down to its final position ever so slowly. And ever so sadly.
Slow and steady. And again, we close the nose cone in preparation for re-entry of the vehicle. This helps keep the nose cone safe, intact with the vehicle. Again, we are going to close this and lock this, and this protects the top part of the vehicle as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Now, we don't necessarily need it for Dragon, but we do want to protect that Skywalker during re-entry, which we don't typically have or haven't had before on Dragon missions. So this nose cone will actually keep that Skywalker mobility aid pretty safe as well.
Indeed. Now, while all this has been going on, the vehicle has initiated the nitrox suit purge. This helps to keep our crew members cool and comfortable during re-entry, which once again, we expect that to occur here in a few minutes. In about a half hour, or a little bit less than a half hour. The exterior of the vehicle will reach temperatures of about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. And the crew members remain comfortable, really, even though the outside is quite extreme, thanks to the environmental systems inside the Dragon capsule and the thermal protection system on the exterior of the capsule.
Yeah, it's pretty important to keep them cool on the inside. Again, we don't have the trunk of Dragon anymore, so it is on internal power, but it's enough power to keep everything cool inside the cabin, because as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, it can get up to about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty hot. Yeah. We've heard some of the crew members that have flown on Dragon that sometimes they can even see some of the sparks through the window.
The plasma.
So, yeah.
So all along for basically the last day, the Dragon capsule has been decreasing its altitude, beginning with the first 2 phasing burns that occurred on Friday. 100 kilometers in altitude will begin interface. And at that point, that's when the crew begin to feel the effects of the Earth's atmosphere.
I just love these stickers here. It's so great. And again, the crew is just monitoring. They also have their tablets. They have the displays. They can follow along with all the procedures that are happening every single step of the way. With everything that's happening with the burns, with the nose cone closing inside of Dragon, they'll be able to hear some different sounds. So being able to follow along with the procedures is really important so that they can connect the dots with the sound to the action that is happening outside of the capsule.
Hey guys, look at Flight Radar 24. Look, we got the NASA plane and the NASA helicopter. Look,
confirmation of
NASA
the
plane,
nose cone's closure.
NASA helicopter. On Flight Radar 24.
Once we get that information, that basically completes
Florida.
The first half of our deorbit
mainland
process.
Florida. So there's mainland Florida. There's Miami.
Once again, these
Dry
views
Tortugas
live
over
from
here.
inside Dragon Resilience, looking over the shoulders of our commander and pilot, Jared Isaacman and Kid Poteet.
Some of our viewers asked about
and
ship trackers.
They are traveling 17,500 miles per hour while they are still in orbit, but they will go down to about 350 miles per hour once the drogues deploy, and then the main chutes are actually going to slow the vehicle down so much that by the time that they splash down back on Earth, it's only about 15 miles per hour that they'll be going. So those drogue chutes and main chutes are pretty important and do a very good job of slowing the vehicle down.
I checked marine traffic on Marine Traffic, which is a ship tracking site. I didn't see any ships in the area. There are probably ships there that are not, broadcasting publicly or something. But I couldn't find any ships on marinetraffic.com in that area.
Of work, and actually, if we didn't have drogue parachutes, we would have to have more main parachutes, and they would have to be twice as big in order to effectively slow the capsule down. Basically, the drogue parachutes deploy around 18,000 feet when the vehicle is going about 350 miles per hour. And the vehicle, thanks to the drogues and the heat shield and really just, the continued friction of the Earth's atmosphere, helps slow it down to 119 miles per hour when the mains deploy at about 6,500 feet. So
that's n2yo.com. You can see it's currently over south of Australia.
And it's always so fun to watch them deploy. I can only imagine what it would feel like to be in the capsule as you're starting to feel Earth again, and then these things pop out and really slow you down. I'm sure it's a welcome feeling, but also kind of a sad one because it means they're really at the very end of their space flight.
Yeah. I'm sure it's probably somewhat similar to skydiving, but except they're coming from microgravity into gravity.
Correct. SpaceX, nose cone secure for entry.
Nose cone is secure. Ooh,
Copy
the
that,
NASA
Jason.
plane turned around. Interesting. Look, guys, on Flight Radar 24, the
so
NASA
there we heard
plane
it.
is turned
The nose
around.
cone is confirmed to be completely closed, and that is great news as we begin the second half of entry. Right now, Dragon is beginning to flush nitrox into the cabin and continuing to top off the crew's suits with that cool air. Again, this is what will allow the cabin temperature to remain comfortable while external temperatures reach 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat shield is pointing forward, leading the capsule to the landing site. Now, while we wait, let's talk a little bit about some of the highlights from the week.
On September 11th, the crew hosted a book reading of Anna's book, Kisses from Space.
All right. I'm going to turn this down for a second so I can talk to you. So again, this is the crew. This is the mission where a couple days ago on Thursday, 2 of the people on the mission, this is a private mission, 2 of the people on the mission did the first private spacewalk ever. And they are landing the SpaceX Polaris Dawn crew. They are going to land near Dry Tortugas National Park in Florida. And Dry Tortugas, as you can see here, is located about 70 miles west of Key West in the Florida Keys. So it's 70 miles west of the furthest big island in the Florida Keys, Key West. It's a really cool national park. There's like an 1800s fort there. It's really neat, but you got to like fly or take a boat there from Key West, or I guess you could just take your own boat over there too. But as you can see here, there is a NASA plane and a NASA helicopter in that general area. The helicopter is making its way there from, it looks like Key West. That plane flew from the Houston area and is flying around there. So you can see there these 2 NASA aircraft. And in terms of where it is right now, N2YO says it is moving. It's over south of Australia, or over southeast of Australia. According to N2YO, it is 287 miles in altitude, high. Okay, so let's go back to the coverage here. Oh, thank you, Lukiva Avatain. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you, Lukiva.
And musician Sarah Gillis performed on a custom violin the primary melody of Rey's theme from Star Wars The Force Awakens, which of course was composed by the legendary John Williams. Sarah was joined by youth musicians from around the world, all students in the International L System.
Chris V says it's going to land in the Keys. I'd be able to see it if so. It's landing about 70 miles west of the Florida Keys. But I don't know if you're in the Florida Keys, will you be able to see it land? Maybe you'll be able to see it in the sky as it comes down. I honestly don't know. I don't know. I'd suggest looking if you're in the Florida Keys. Maybe you'll see it. But it's again landing near Dry Tortugas. Oops, let me show you this again. Dry Tortugas National Park. Where those? Now, in terms of mileage, it looks like that plane is about maybe 30, 40 miles north of the national park right now. So just to be clear, this is the FAA airspace restriction. And it looked to me, see that circle there? I think that's the airspace restriction, which is a bit north of Dry Tortugas. So my guess is that's the area right in there, north of Dry Tortugas. That'd be my guess, but I'm not positive as to where it's going to come down. Matthew Becker says you might only be able to see reentry heating only. Jeffrey C. says if you're working on a ship boat, you will see it. I do not know. I'm not an expert on where you can see it. While they're playing this video, let's keep an eye on this. I think that's a neat. Oh, hold on. Oh, sorry, they're playing music. So again, I think that's a neat shot right there. It does look like that these aircraft are heading a bit north of Dry Tortugas. So yeah, I mean, look, if I'm getting it right here, if this circle is indeed the area here, which I believe it is, I believe that's the one right there. That is, we read the NOTAM before, but it said space operations, as one of our viewers said. So I don't know if there's I mean, that'd be my guess, is that's where it's going to land. So based on that information. Let's see here. But I don't know if there's a chance that it would land outside that area. Is there any chance it'll not land where they think it's going to land? I don't know. I think they're pretty exact with these things, or they try to be. But you can see that where this plane is flying here, and these are clearly to the north of the park, rather than right here. they're still playing the music thing. If I can just read this to you. Well, I'm waiting for the live coverage to come back. We read this before. It said Space Operations Area. Space Operations. Location Tortuga, Florida. It said at the bottom it says aircraft supporting the recovery of the space vehicle are exempt from this TFR. I'll go back to the SpaceX coverage when they stop playing the music stuff. TFR is a temporary flight restriction. I went to marine traffic and I went to Dry Tortugas and I didn't see much there. I didn't see any relevant boats on marine traffic near Dry Tortugas when I went there. Maybe I can get it up on the screen really quick. Ship tracking and marine analytics provider, marinetraffic.com. Marinetraffic.com, where you can track boats. If you go to over here and you go to Dry Tortugas, there's Key West. There's Key West. There's Dry Tortugas. That's some other boat. That's too far west. This is a fishing boat. I mean, I don't see anything really relevant in the area. Fishing. So for whatever it's worth, I'm not seeing much there. I'm guessing there are craft there that are not on traffic sites, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Oh, now maybe there's something I just can't see on that site. I don't have like the super duper plan on marine traffic. Maybe if I had that, I could see something. I don't know. What are they talking about here? Hold on a second.
Education, and it's just so cool to Sarah bring that to such a massive platform and in such a cool way.
Yeah, like so impressed. I was speechless when I first watched it, but I think I've watched it like 6 times by now.
For sure. So right now, we don't have views inside the cabin at the moment, but the crew, they continue their deorbit journey. As of right now, we have already separated the trunk from the Dragon capsule, and that allows us, and they've undergone the deorbit burn as well. And separating that Dragon trunk allows us to expose the heat shield. And so let's talk a little bit about the heat shield in greater detail. Dragon's primary heat shield is composed of PICA 3.0, which stands for Phenolic Impregnated Carbon Ablator. The first gen PICA was actually developed by NASA for studying and sampling comets within our solar system.
SpaceX partnered with NASA to develop PICA X, which was the second generation product used on all Dragon 1 CRS missions that successfully resupplied the space station on 20 missions. PICA 3.0 was developed specifically for use on Dragon 2 crew and cargo, with enhanced structural and thermal properties that optimized the heat shield and drove down cost and mass.
Yeah. The remainder of the Dragon capsule is composed primarily of a SpaceX proprietary ablative material, or SPAM. It's another class of thermal protection which is lighter weight than PICA and protects the underlying composite structure during re-entry to ensure the structural capabilities are maintained.
Yeah, while Dragon will experience temperatures well over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit during peak re-entry conditions, the characteristics of the thermal protection systems, coupled with the environmental cooling and life support system in the pressurized interior, will ensure that the crew will stay cool and comfortable during all phases of re-entry through Splashdown, because it does get very hot on the outside. Now, we caught up with the Inspiration 4 crew on what they were thinking and feeling about this during their mission.
Coming back home is dynamic. it is exciting because you hit the atmosphere like a bullet. You're traveling 17,500 miles per hour, or Mach 25, and then when you hit the atmosphere, the capsule starts slowing down, and as a result, you get this G load that comes on you quickly, and then it's sustained. And at the same time, the Dragon's making these giant S-turns, which is, again, dialing into its location, but also slowing down the capsule. And for me, I was just sitting there like, this is fantastic. You know, that's what was going through my mind.
Yeah, and there's that rhythmic pulse of the Draco engines that are steering you and orienting the Dragon capsule in the right direction, and that's all you hear until the parachutes deploy. You see the light change through the windows because it is making those S-turns, and you don't hear the wind go by until you get to about 50 kilometers up, and that's when you start to hear the rush of the wind, even though you start to feel those G's pretty early. And what's really cool about it is that as soon as you hear that pop of the pyros putting the drogue chutes out, the Dracos go silent. And that is an eerie but calm feeling. Do you remember feeling that when the parachutes deployed, all of a sudden the Dracos just shut off and now we're just there?
Not until you mentioned that.
I'm glad you remember that.
I know, but I just remember the feeling of relief of being like, yes, the drogues fired, and then the mains, because Jared had his hands on the buttons in case there was something that, we needed it, and it's a dynamic, interesting time of reentry.
I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous for reentry. Okay. Just, launch, you're so excited, because, 8-9 minutes, I'm going to be in space. But then reentry was more intimidating for me, and then it was also it was more dynamic. It was more intense physically after you'd had no days of zero gravity, and then you start experiencing the G's again, and then you're up to 4.5 G's. It's really intense. You're just trying to breathe. And when the parachutes come out, it sounds like explosions.
It is. The pyros go.
Yeah.
And then you're waiting, and
but it's such a relief. You're really happy to hear those explosions.
You really are. Yeah.
And I just remember when we started entering the atmosphere, I could see fire from the window, and it was cool. But whenever we hit the water, it was just intense relief.
I think one of my favorite moments, though, is right before we're all strapped in and we're working our way to our descent, and then that's when Jared was like, well, I want to give you guys something to look forward to, so let me tell you about our splashdown party once we get back.
Because he kept it a secret.
He kept it a secret, and then I kept thinking, you're telling us now as we're going into the most dynamic part of flight? But that's Jared. He's like, let's calm down, it's all good, and let's share some exciting news to look forward to. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some awesome words there from the Inspiration 4 crew. I should say the Inspiration 4 crew that isn't currently on board the Polaris Dawn capsule. So Jared also commanded the Inspiration 4 crew, as well as our current Polaris Dawn mission. And in fact, this capsule is the same one that the Inspiration 4 crew flew in as well. So we heard it from the experts. Re-entry is interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool to hear, their different, each one had a different insight. Haley was, this was the more dynamic portion that she was maybe a little bit.
Really quick, guys, I just want to mention again, we're talking about the landing. It's supposed to happen a bit north of Dry Tortugas National Park, which is roughly 70 miles west of Key West. You can see there are 2 NASA aircraft in that area, a NASA plane and a NASA helicopter right there. Looks like about maybe 30 or 40 miles away from Dry Tortugas, flying in the area. So keeping an eye on that. And if you're wondering where the actual Polaris Dawn is, now is this the last pass here? Look, so it went by Australia, and now this is n2yo.com. So yeah, I assume it's going to just go on this track and eventually go down right here, right? So there it is right there. It's in the Pacific, but it's moving towards Florida, that general direction. That's from n2yo.com. You can see it there. All right. Oops. What's happening now? This is from earlier.
Because it can work with like an iPhone or an iPad or just.
That's not live. That's a recording from earlier. That's a recording from earlier of the crew. Let me just go again to that tracker. There's the tracker right there. Barry says the final countdown. Again, that's n2yo.com. But it is moving towards Florida. You can track it at n2yo.com. The altitude is 223 miles, it says there. All right, they're still showing this thing, so I want to... Jared Isaacman, who is he's the one on the second one in, on the left. He is a tech billionaire who spent a lot to help fund this mission. And he was the one who was the first, he took the first private spacewalk ever on Thursday. Tronzy Bit says they went to n2yo.com to track it. So again, n2yo.com, I really appreciate them letting me show their site, but that's where you can track it there. And again, Flight Radar 24 is when, look at this. Look at what's going on Flight Radar 24, guys. Look at that. That's really cool. You have the NASA helicopter and the NASA airplane in that area flying around waiting for the splashdown. Wow. Okay. Pine Waste says figure 8. All right. While they're doing that, while they're still doing this, while they're still showing this from before, we'll keep checking out these things. The plane came from Houston. The helicopter came from Key West. Yeah, Phantom Detailer says Jared founded the whole thing. I know he's been a big part of that, of Polaris, but I'd have to look up the actual history of it. Let's see. He was the commander of the Polaris Dawn mission in 2021. Or no, it wasn't Polaris Dawn. It was Inspiration 4, the private space flight, Inspiration 4. He commanded that, the SpaceX flight. Not Polaris Dawn is this one. They're still showing that that's still from before. That's a recording from earlier. Anyways, we can maybe talk about that after. That's interesting, the whole his connection to all of this. But he is spending a lot of money to help fund this mission. Let's go back here to look at now n2yo.com shows it getting closer, guys. There you go. It's going to end up right around here. Right here is where Key West is and Dry Tortugas. So if we zoom in here, you'll see. Ooh, we can do it there. There you go. There you go. Speed is about 5 miles per second, it says. But it's higher up, remember. It's not on the ground. It's higher up. It's not 5 miles per second. If it was on Earth, my point is, when it's higher up, it's hundreds of miles in the air. So to make a pass around the Earth, it's got to go farther, if my math is right. It's got to go more miles to go all the way around the Earth, because it's higher up, so it's a bigger circle. You can watch the altitude drop, says one of our viewers. It says 211 right there. That's the video from earlier. That's the video of Jared Isaacman on Thursday taking the first private spacewalk. Okay, they went back to the, let me see what they're saying.
Activity usually begins with depressurization of the airlock or space module and then ends with repressurization of that space module or airlock after crew member ingress. But because Crew Dragon doesn't have an airlock, the entire cabin was actually depressurized, and all 4 astronauts on board participated in the spacewalk. It was Sarah...
SpaceX Dragon. Our tablets are secure, restraints are tightened, and our visors are down.
I'm going to post a link.
Crew entry prep.
All right, good news there. That was Jared letting us know that their tablets are secured and the visors are down, which then creates that complete system for the spacesuit for them to basically be ready for the more dynamic parts of the re-entry phase, which is coming up soon. We are about 7 minutes away from the anticipated loss of signal. But getting back to the incredible spacewalk that...
Hey, really quick. So I'm going to post a link. I was asked to do this. I'm going to post a link to this site, the tracker site on n2io.com. I'm posting a link in the chat so you can pull up that tracker from n2io.com. I'm posting it right now.
To when it was repressurized once again. So it was incredible, and the first commercial spacewalk is certainly a moment to remember. Now, some Dragon facts in terms of the Dragon capsule overall. Like I said earlier, it's designed from the beginning to enable human spaceflight, even though we started just with cargo spaceflight. It can carry up to 7 passengers, but for today, we've got 4 crew members on board, and it is the first private spacecraft to take humans to the International Space Station. It's also the first private spacecraft to take an all-civilian crew to orbit, and that was this exact Dragon capsule, Dragon Resilience, that, of course, was the inspiration for mission. This Dragon mission, this Polaris Dawn Dragon mission flew further than any Dragon to date and reached the highest Earth orbit ever flown with an apogee of 1,408.1 kilometers. Dragon has performed 47 total launches, including Polaris Dawn, 14 crew missions, including Polaris, 5 of those being private astronaut missions and 9 being NASA missions. There were we've had 42 visits to the International Space Station, 25 missions utilizing a reflown or a refurbished Dragon capsule, including Polaris Dawn. And like we mentioned earlier, this is the exact same Dragon flown on the Inspiration 4 mission.
Dragon SpaceX. 5 minutes until predicted Comm blackout. See you on the other side.
Copy that, SpaceX. We're tracking the same. Talk to you soon.
And we just heard some comms from the core to the crew, letting them know we're just about 5 minutes away from that blackout period.
Sorry, you couldn't hear me.
Very,
five
exciting.
minutes.
That means that the crew is almost going to get through the portion of passing through the atmosphere, re-entering the atmosphere, coming back down to Earth. And ironically, today is actually the 3-year anniversary, 3 years ago today, on September 15th, 2021, the Inspiration 4 mission actually launched. And so we got to hear some thoughts. We don't get to hear the Polaris Dawn crew. They haven't gone through this re-entry period. So we got to hear some thoughts from the Inspiration 4 crew on their thoughts of this re-entry period.
It's now time to come home. We've been floating in space for 3 days. What did it feel like to you guys to all of a sudden experience a 1/10 of a G as we came back?
Okay, you said that liftoff was your favorite part. Coming back was actually mine. I loved hitting the atmosphere and the dynamics of it and having the G load, come on quick, and you're like, okay, gravity's heavy.
Yeah. I much preferred launch over Splashdown. But yeah, because we were in space for 3 days, and this is something I didn't think about beforehand, but whenever we started entering the atmosphere and started feeling the gravity again, I remember saying out loud, oh my gosh, this is so intense. How many G's are we at? And Jared said 0.3.
I know.
So we were at a third of Earth gravity. And I was like, how are we going to get to 4.5? But you just get through it.
Yeah, just keep breathing, right?
And then you just pray the parachutes will open. And then whenever they do, and then you hear from SpaceX, 4 healthy mains, I remember screaming, thank God.
Well, that's the most intense, when they talk about the Dragon being autonomous and stuff, on ascend going up. If the launch escape system will probably catch an error before Jared and I could react.
Right.
We could do stuff, but you've got that. But coming back,
you can't abort coming back.
You can't. But the most intense moment, I think, for the commander and the pilot is making sure that the drogues and the mains come out, because we have a short window where we can manually fire them if they don't. And I just remember, we're counting down, and then I'm like, green, yellow, and if I had gotten to red, then that wouldn't have been good. But every time green happened, the pyros went, and Jared and I were just like, there's the drogues. And we could see it on our monitor. I don't know if you could, but we're like, oh, yes, drogues. And then we go
I had
through.
to rip off my iPad to hand it to you so you can take
Yeah, and then it was like, at that point, it was so peaceful because re-entry was very dynamic. It was the G-forces were so intense. It was more shaky than launch was. And then when the parachutes deploy, they lift you up and shake you all around. And then whenever after they're out, then you're just kind of falling down. I remember it sounded like a summer breeze outside, and we were like in 1G and just drifting down. And then we hit the water. We knew it. It was.
Well, that was one thing too. When you said you're looking at the screens, you and I had a pretty good view, Haley. Of we could actually look out the windows at that point, and I remember seeing that the Dragon capsule reorient, and as it's making those S curves to the atmosphere and seeing the clouds move very dynamically. And
see, I'd love that. That, to me, hearing the Dracos firing and the, it's like as we're doing these giant S curves.
That's exactly what it sounded like.
Yeah, it's like ingrained in my memory. And I'm like, and I remember just being there and being like, this is so cool. Yeah. Just the technology of what SpaceX has done and being able to, have a capsule that will dial itself in and slow down your descent. It's just amazing. Such a great experience. But Splashdown was awesome because when we hit the water, you're just like, we did it.
It was a very emotional moment, more than I expected.
I love what Dr. Proctor said there. We did it.
Yeah. I literally love seeing all the reactions because, we don't get to, experience these events with them. And every single one is very unique to each person's experience. And I love that all 3 of them have just like a different view of how each event went.
Yeah, it's so great to be able to hear their reactions. And I look forward to hearing the Polaris Dawn crew's reactions once they get back on Earth and share their experience with us. Now, the Polaris Dawn crew, we are coming up to our anticipated loss of signal. This is the point in time in which the amount of plasma building up on the exterior of the vehicle becomes significant and that we are unable to command the vehicle or receive telemetry or communicate with the crew. So this happens every time a Dragon capsule comes back through the Earth's atmosphere, and we're anticipating about a 7-minute loss of signal for today's re-entry. But it's a period in which a couple minutes before it ends, we'll hear the core call out, the core being the crew operations and resources engineer. And that person is the voice to the crew, and they're sitting right there in that room on your screen. That is Mission Control here at SpaceX in Hawthorne, California. And a couple minutes before the blackout period ends, we'll start to hear the core hail the Dragon capsule because sometimes they get through it quicker and we're able to communicate earlier than anticipated. So yeah, it's an expected period where basically no vehicle telemetry is received by Mission Control or the recovery team, and we're unable to command the vehicle. So as a reminder, though, the Dragon capsule is programmed to and designed to fly itself. So as we heard from the Inspiration 4 crew earlier, It is a period of great anticipation, but coming out on the other side is a moment of a lot of joy.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We are expected to be in the blackout period at this moment. We did hear the Corps call that out about 5 minutes ago. So we should be in that blackout period. Again, it should last about 6-7 minutes. And what's expected to come next is going to be, once we get through that blackout period, we will confirm we have comms with the crew once again, and then we will be expecting the drogue parachutes to deploy. Again, that helps slow the vehicle down. They've been flying very fast in space at 17,500 miles per hour. Those drogues are going to slow down the vehicle to about 350 miles per hour, and then the 4 main parachutes will deploy and slow the vehicle down as it's making its way back down to Earth, and should touch down at around 15, 16 miles per hour. So these chutes are very, very important to help keep the vehicle slowly moving towards the Earth, scrubbing that velocity as they've been moving very quickly. But they should have a very light touchdown back on Earth in the ocean.
You can hear a little bit of a crowd here forming outside of Mission Control. You can see there on your screen as some of our fellow employees are gathering in anticipation of the splashdown. It's always one of the best, not one of the best place to stand for these types of events, although it is pretty late on a Saturday night, so perhaps not the normal size crowd.
This is this is a pretty good event for a Saturday night, I think. This is where I'd want to be.
So once again, we are in the blackout period. Anticipated loss of communications. We do anticipate to regain those communications around 12:30 a.m. Pacific time or 3:30 a.m. Eastern time. Just after that, as Jesse was saying, we'll see the drogue parachutes deploy about 2 minutes after, and then about 2 minutes after coming back from the blackout period, we'll see those drogues deploy, and then just a minute later, we'll see the main parachutes deploy. So, as we said earlier, this is a series of events that when you start, it seems like, oh man, it's going to take a while, but they do happen in rapid succession. And I just noticed there's a turtle inflatable down in front of Mission Control in celebration of our new landing location at
I feel like I don't know if the N2YO.com tracker, I feel like maybe that's just estimated at this point because it's communications blackout, because I feel like it's moving too fast on there and it's just going to go by. So I don't know if that's still accurate on N2YO.com, given that they're in a communications blackout. Oh, hold on! Look, we got a picture.
Is the first ground view of the Dragon capsule making its way back, entering the Earth's atmosphere.
I love this view.
Wow.
It's so fun to watch this. I can only imagine what it would be like to watch it with our own eyes. This thermal view in particular is really cool because you can see the trail behind it.
Oh, now, that is so awesome. There's 4 humans inside of that capsule right now.
Now, once again, we are in the anticipated communications blackout period. Basically, there is an envelope of ionized air around the spacecraft, and it blocks radio signals from reaching Dragon. So this basically plasma field around it prohibits us from commanding the vehicle or from communicating with the crew. So this anticipated blackout period lasts about 7 minutes, so we should be coming out of it here in about the next minute or so. We will probably start to hear the SpaceX Corps begin to reach out to the Dragon capsule, just trying to hail them, or we might even hear from the Polaris Dawn crew first. Oh, that's an incredible view from the recovery ship.
From the ship, wow.
Out in the water.
Wow.
That is a sight to see for the people that are watching this live. It's not a comet. It is just the Polaris Dawn crew coming back to Earth. Wow, that is an amazing view.
Crazy.
Once again, we expect this blackout period to end in about a minute.
Look at
another
this.
view of the
Dragon SpaceX comm check.
Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Dragon has you loud and clear. Help me, SpaceX.
Hey!
Loud
They're
and clear,
there.
Jared. Expect automated chute deployment.
incredible views, incredible comms. We have regained communications with the Polaris Dawn crew. This is a drone circling the recovery vessel. And that little white dot, I should start, the big white dot on the right, obviously the moon, the little white dot there in the center of your screen is the Dragon Resilience vehicle making its way, its final few kilometers back down to planet Earth after spending 5 days in orbit.
Wow.
Wow, just
amazing.
Some epic views tonight. You can hear the crowd here in Hawthorne getting excited. We've confirmed that we have comms with the crew.
Dragon SpaceX, GPS converged. Expect nominal altitude for drogue chute deploy.
First chutes are coming out.
Copy
First
that,
parachutes.
SpaceX. We show the same in tracking.
And the crew is still traveling very quickly right now as they're coming back through the Earth's atmosphere. But as you heard, the drogue chutes should be deploying here shortly, and that's going to slow them down significantly.
Yeah, we expect those to deploy in about 90 seconds. And as we heard in those comms, it's triggered by GPS. So the Dragon capsule using that GPS will automatically know exactly when to deploy it, and that happens around 40 kilometers.
It's cool that the GPS determines when those initial parachutes get put out.
Once the drogue parachutes deploy, about a minute after that, we'll see the main parachutes.
And it's pretty incredible that we only...
We can see seat rotation now underway. This helps put the crew in a more ergonomic position in anticipation of
Brace
splashdown.
for drogue window.
Crazy.
Copy, we're bracing.
Should see those chutes deploy here shortly.
Bracing
and you
for
can see the crew bracing.
As instructed.
For the change in velocity.
Standing by for deployment of the drogue parachutes. These will help bring the vehicle down from about 350 miles per hour when they deploy down to about 119 miles per hour when the main parachutes deploy.
There you go, right there.
There we can see that the drogue chutes have successfully deployed. It's a great thermal image. And that view is from the actual basin where those drogue parachutes are located.
Dragon SpaceX visual on 2 healthy drogues.
Main parachutes are next.
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same.
Wow.
These drogue
Those
parachutes
help
help
slow
to
it down.
stabilize the Dragon capsule and get it into the right orientation before those main parachutes pop out, as well as providing that initial deceleration.
This is such a great thermal shot of the Dragon capsule. You can see it turning a little bit with the drogue parachutes.
Okay. There's the main one? That's the main parachute,
There are
right?
the 4 main chutes now deployed. They'll slowly open up to their full deployment here in just a few seconds.
Wow. 3 of the 4 are up there. Now, there they go. Do we got 3 of them? 4 of them? All 4 now?
Incredible views of the Polaris Dawn crew returning to Earth after 5 days in Earth's orbit. The crowd here at Mission Control in Hawthorne cheering.
Dragon SpaceX visual on 4 mains and descent rate nominal.
It's a beautiful sight to see.
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same. 1,000.
Copy 1,000.
Beautiful sight to see those 4 healthy main parachutes.
So great.
Now, in about 2 minutes, we expect our splashdown to occur.
And you may hear the crew and the Corps talking. They're communicating about their altitude as they make their way back down to Earth.
We should start.
800.
Yeah, there it is. So we should start to hear
Copy 8.
Are hearing our commander, Jared Isaacman, call out the altitude as they descend to the ocean's surface.
Incredible.
We can see the Polaris Dawn crew nestled in their seats there on the left-hand side of your screen as they anticipate their splashdown.
It's amazing it works.
Copy 6.
And you can see the difference in velocity. This is a lot gentler than just a few minutes ago. Dragon is coming back down to Earth.
Absolutely. These main parachutes deploy at about 119 miles per hour and help slow the Dragon capsule down to about 15 miles per hour when it makes contact with the ocean.
You can also see that the capsule is now
400.
The capsule is now stabilized. It's no longer spinning like we saw it with the drogue parachutes.
Nice job.
200, we're bracing.
Copy, 200 embraced.
Nice.
Get
ready, guys.
For splashdown.
That will be the final call we hear from Jared until contact with the ocean surface. Standing by for a splashdown of the Polaris Dawn crew.
Yay!
And there you can see.
SpaceX copies, we see splash.
As you can see on your screen, and by the cheers behind us, the Polaris Dawn crew has successfully splashed down.
Welcome back to planet Earth, Polaris Dawn.
SpaceX recovery team now moving into place to begin the process of strapping the Dragon capsule up with the necessary rigging in order to lift it onto the recovery vessel.
Really cool. It's incredible they can do it. They can
Dragon
bring the thing down from space. It's amazing.
In a pretty stable position. After
SpaceX Dragon, vehicles code 1, cruise code 1.
SpaceX copies code 1.
Now the recovery teams have been ready and waiting about 3 nautical miles away. So it's going to take them just about 30 minutes to make their way to Jared, Kid, Sarah, and Anna, who are currently inside of the Dragon capsule that you see there on your screen. Back here, home on Earth.
Look at flight radar. Those are 2 NASA aircraft right there.
that call out that we heard earlier, confirmation of what I had said a little bit prior to in terms of that stable configuration. That code 1 call out is the reflection of the crew's reporting of that landing position. We can see the Dragon capsule bobbing in the distance. Like Jesse said, the recovery team is a little ways away from the splashdown location, obviously to ensure their safety, as well as the safety of the Polaris Dawn crew. So it takes a little while for the large recovery vessel to make its way over to the Dragon capsule, but there are a couple of fast boats that we will likely see come into screen sooner than later. And those fast boats carry...
SpaceX Dragon, we're stable 1.
Those fast boats carry...
Copy, stable 1.
Those fast boats carry the recovery team members that will scoop up the parachutes from the water, excuse me, as well as perform the initial safety checks to make sure that there are no hypergolic fuel vapors or any basically potentially harmful vapors remaining around the Dragon capsule following the deorbit sequence. So we'll see a crew with some personal protective equipment wearing that personal protective equipment around the capsule, performing those safety checks before allowing anyone to get too close to the capsule.
Yeah, and I love that we have those fast boats. Instead of waiting for the recovery vessel to make it with crew members on board there, we have the fast boats to get there while the recovery vessel is making its way towards the capsule, and we can do all that work in advance. And they are very fast, as you can see.
SpaceX, on behalf of the entire team of SpaceX, welcome home. We have pulled go for recovery personnel to approach. Expect personnel alongside in approximately 1 minute.
Wow, they're the fast boats. Fast boat.
Copy that, SpaceX and Polaris Dawn. We are mission complete. Thanks for all the big help pulling this mission together.
Good job. Fast boat.
Now, we did see a jet ski pass by. That jet ski has a couple recovery folks on board. They've got the go to do those, gas and hazardous checks to make sure that Dragon is safe for the recovery vessel to approach.
Yeah, and this view here is actually from a drone hovering near the Dragon capsule, so it gives you a little bit better perspective of how close the fast boats are. Like I mentioned before, some of them are scouring the water looking for the parachutes that were released after Dragon Splashdown.
Look at that.
We'll try to retrieve those.
That's the actual capsule.
Another fast boat will approach and begin those safety checks for any hypergolic vapors. We can see them getting... actually, you can kind of see one of those parachutes there floating in the water to the right-hand side. And then the moon in the distance. What a great view.
Some great lighting from the moon at this night splashdown tonight.
I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've had these views on our recovery webcasts. So it's pretty cool to see. I love that we get this view right here where we can see the lights on inside Dragon capsule through the windows.
Almost looks like the eyes of Dragon.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That camera is on a drone. And you see the boat next to the capsule. It's crazy. What footage this is.
So
amazing.
The fast boat that is closest to the Dragon capsule, that is the crew that will begin. Yeah, you can see with the stick there, that is basically a hypergolic detection device.
Wow.
They will attach to the Dragon capsule to get a little closer. And we can see that they have respirators on. This helps ensure that if there are any lingering vapors, that they will not be exposed to those. Now, the recovery team, just like the Polaris Dawn crew, they perform quite a bit of training in order to be able to perform these activities safely. In fact, for those of you that have never watched our recovery shows before, but there will actually be someone that jumps into the water and begins climbing on Dragon capsule in order to secure the straps that are necessary to lift the Dragon capsule out of the water. Oh, there's a cool shot there because you can actually see the basin where the main parachutes were located. That's where here's a thermal view now. But yeah, that lower, larger basin is where the main parachutes were located.
Incredible views.
A Dragon capsule definitely looks toasty, having come back through the Earth's atmosphere.
A little bit toasty there. It was a little hot coming back.
I wonder how hot it is on the surface of the capsule. How hot is the capsule
itself?
Right
now the recovery team is ensuring the safety of the crew, making sure there's no hazardous gases around the vehicle. They're pulling the chutes out of the water.
Which is what that thing is below the Dragon capsule there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. It is not a giant squid.
This is about 70 miles away from Key West.
On these boats. Maybe not there. Actually, I take that back. I don't
Look,
think it's lights
quick,
on the boats.
guys,
I think it's lights with some
there's
of
Key West.
Dragon SpaceX, hypergol sweeps, and unfired ordnance checks nominal. Rigging in progress, approximately 5 minutes until capsule lift. Stand by for PMC.
2.5 minutes till capsule lift. They're rigging the capsule, they say. This is incredible.
Copy that. 2 5 minutes for capsule lift.
I didn't know we were going to see this.
All right, great news there, letting us know, and we can see that the crew members have basically taken off their respirators, allows them to work a little bit more efficiently. Also heard that the crew will have their
Dragon SpaceX for PMC.
PMC standing for Private Medical Conference.
I'm sorry.
So this is an opportunity to check in with.
Is 5 minutes is 25 minutes? People are saying it's 25 minutes. Sorry.
Looking for crew to be okay
so it's
with
25 minutes till lifting. Okay, my bad. I thought they were saying 2.5. Sounds like it's 25 minutes.
We'll call you if we need to pull it in, but right now 10 minutes seems good.
Copy.
All right, so that PMC Private Medical Conference, that's just an opportunity for the crew to chat with the flight surgeon, check in, make sure everybody's feeling good. So it sounds like the crew is on board to have that occur in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, the recovery teams here on your screen scurrying. Oh, there, our first view of the individual on top of the capsule.
Look at that, wow.
Yeah, I have said this in many Splashdown webcasts before. Not enough money in the world to convince me to do that job. I have so much admiration and respect for the people that can. Just doing that in dark water would be terrifying to me. And I love how efficient and well-trained all of these individuals are. We can see it in action here. They function as a really strong unit altogether. These waters are pretty calm, but you can see the capsule and the boats kind of moving around. And it's not like they're on land.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Really, really cool.
And
I think this is about 30 miles north of Dry Tortugas.
Yeah, Kate,
That's what it looks
at
like
least
on
they
flight
are
radar.
near the Florida Keys. They probably got some pretty clear water, even though it is nighttime. I wouldn't mind, jumping on top of the capsule and trying to rig up the Dragon capsule there. It looks like a pretty fun job, actually.
Yeah, I think nighttime would be a hard no. Daytime, maybe.
Dragon SpaceX for PMC.
Go SpaceX.
All right, we're actually ready to do a PMC now, so I'm going to be privatizing Dragon to ground. You'll next hear from the ship surgeon.
They're doing a private medical conference, I believe. Private medical conference, I think it is. Look at the guy on the actual capsule. Crazy. They're rigging it up. Again, I believe this is about... let me just show you Flight Radar 24 for a second, guys. There's Flight Radar 24. There's Florida. There's the Florida Keys. There's Dry Tortugas National Park, and there are these two NASA... There's a NASA plane circling here, and that's a NASA helicopter. But my guess is that they're up here. But again, that would be roughly 30 miles north of Dry Tortugas National Park. So I think that's where they are, but I'm not positive. Right around there is where the temporary flight restriction was.
So cool to see this happening live with the various recovery team members working to install the straps and the rigging that is necessary in order to safely lift the Dragon capsule out of the water. I want to give a special shout out to the SpaceX weather team and the recovery team for unlocking this location and adding it to our sites of availability for Dragon recovery opportunities and options, because as we saw trying to launch this mission when we were... Oh, just kidding. Fake Quindar. When we were trying to launch this, weather was really problematic, and it wasn't just the weather at the launch site, which is what most people think of.
Dragon ground is no longer privatized.
Copy that, SpaceX.
Yeah, the weather at the launch site is what most people think of, but when we have a shorter duration basically free flyer type mission like this, where the Dragon capsule is only in orbit for a few days, not only do we have to look at the immediate weather around the launch site and the weather during the ascent abort phases like we always do, but at the time of launch, we also have to be really confident that there will be good weather in at least a couple of landing locations available to us at the time of launch. And that wasn't an option for any of our existing sites. And the recovery team and the weather team worked really hard to identify this new location, and just look how calm the waters are. Wow.
It was perfect for the splashdown tonight. And yeah, Kate, like for the last few weeks, weather, in Florida is,
that time of year.
It's the hurricane season, so it's a little bit tough. And like you said, 5 days trying to make sure that weather is good from start to finish is really, really difficult with that type of weather there in Florida. Where typically, other missions, we've gone to the International Space Station where we can kind of wait out weather if we need to. For a mission like the Free Flyer, like you said, that's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
We don't have as much cargo space to keep food and supplies much longer than the planned duration of the mission. Obviously, there's some extra in there in case they did need to stay out in space, but we got some excellent weather for this. And a big shout out to Starlink. We've got this view here brought to you by Starlink, and we're now seeing the recovery vessel getting closer and closer to the Dragon capsule. This is where the Dragon capsule is going to be lifted out of the water onto this recovery vessel.
A great shot of the helicopter pad there on top. That's pretty cool.
So a helicopter is going to come once the crew is on board, once the capsule is on board, the crew's on board, and has exited the Dragon capsule. A helicopter is going to come land on the recovery vessel and actually fly the crew back to land. That's a lot faster path than waiting on the recovery vessel to get back to land. And that's important to make sure that the crew is safe, healthy, and they can get into, hopefully get some sleep maybe.
Yeah, I did make a note that the crew, while they are on orbit, everything is scheduled, including their sleep periods. And they actually had their wake-up call at 6:25 p.m. Pacific time, or 9:25 p.m. Eastern time. So it's right now almost 1 a.m. Pacific time. So yeah, they've been awake for a while, and they had quite a day, honestly. And I'm sure that they are most excited to see their families again, and also probably pretty excited to get a good night's sleep.
In a bed.
Yeah.
Instead of floating around.
Yeah. Now, if you've recently joined us, unfortunately, you missed quite a bit of action already, but we still have a bit to go. So far, we, as you can see, have had a successful splashdown of the Dragon capsule carrying the Polaris Dawn crew. They splashed down about 12:36 a.m. Pacific time. Unfortunately, I was too excited and I didn't catch the exact splashdown time, but I think it was right around then. And that is now the recovery of the capsule is now underway. This view is of the recovery team in one of those fast boats. We can see some of the recovery crew members working to place the straps and the rigging around the capsule that will be used, excuse me, to lift the Dragon capsule out of the water and onto the recovery vessel. And from there, the crew members the recovery team members will open up the side hatch, and that will be the first breath of fresh air that this crew has had since they lifted off. Let's see, 5 days ago. Oh, man, this week has been such a blur. I guess that was Monday night, I think.
A Monday night for us, yes.
Yeah. By the way, hey, a quick thanks to Evelyn Volmer for your support, and Robin Ridge and For Rent. Thank you, For Rent. PZ Papa Zulu as well. I really appreciate. Also, Zero More T Vickers Sr. and A Moment of Lovely. We'll go back to the coverage in a second. I really appreciate you guys being here for this coverage. Super cool video. We'll keep watching it. And thanks to all of our moderators who are here right now at this late hour. Havasu Mom over there on YouTube. Thank you so much. Linda Belk and Larry on X, over there on Twitch, LB Prairie Dawn, I Got That Fire, and Surly Dev, and also on Facebook, Kay Lowry Body, Raven Riley, Raven Lynn, and Ronald Egnor. And in a little bit, we'll take some of your comments about all this, but incredible video we've been watching. So I'm glad we're able to cover this for you.
Hear some of their thoughts on what that was like exiting the capsule for the first time coming back down to Earth.
It was a really kind of a bittersweet time. Like, we knew we had just completed all these different milestones. We had done all that research. And I know Polaris Dawn, they have so much more research they're going to get through. But we had
yeah, one of our viewers, Game Slayer, points out that the aircraft appear to be going back. So let me show you Flight Radar 24 for a second. There is Flight Radar 24. And what you see is, again, that's Florida right there. There's the Florida Keys. There is Key West. There's Dry Tortugas National Park. And I believe that this plane might have been circling around the area where the splashdown was. It was originally circling here, but then it was circling here. And I think that is where the intended area of splashdown was, because if you look at the, this is the original FAA no-fly zone, temporary flight restriction, and it does appear to be north. That red circle there is a bit north of Dry Tortugas right there. So if I had to guess, my guess is that the capsule is somewhere in here where the plane was circling around. But yes, as Game Slayer pointed out, the NASA helicopter and the NASA plane are now heading back to where they came from. Helicopter to Key West, plane to Houston. So that's pretty cool to see. You can see on the right there is that live shot. I wonder if are we gonna be able to see this thing get lifted out of the water? Looks like they're still covering it. So I didn't anticipate having all this great video from the recovery operation. So we'll keep covering it as well. Look at this. Now we're seeing like a platform thing. Oh, is that the platform? I mean, this is incredible. Look, we're seeing the platform where they're going to lift up the capsule. Wow, amazing. I'm talking over them because this is just like a video, so I figured I'd talk over it. No, we're staying on the air. As long as they have this video, I'm staying on the air. Really neat. Pineapple Water says they always cover the lift. Yeah, I usually don't stay up and watch these recoveries. So, or even if they're during the day, I don't usually watch the recoveries. So it's really neat for me to see it. But I really like seeing all the video. Yeah, we'll stay with it. We'll read your comments on the air. Great that the crew is safe. Tressa says this is something else. Robin Ridge says this is awesome. Yeah, it's really cool to see. It's amazing. Evelyn says lift it and watch. They will get out of the Dragon capsule. Dr. McRib says feels weird to have some positive news for a change. I appreciate Flight Radar 24 letting me show their site, because I think it's really helpful. Also, a big shout out to it was really cool to be able to show you guys the tracker on n2yo.com, where we were tracking Polaris Dawn over there. So shout out to n2yo.com for letting us use their tracker. Also, hey, thanks to Long Range Precision Shooting. I appreciate that Long Range Precision Shooting. Thank you for your support. So we're bringing you live coverage of this, we will see them get out of the capsule eventually. They've been there for about a 5-day mission. I think it was 5 days. Was it 6 days? I can't remember what the launch day was. Did they launch on Monday? I can't remember. I thought they launched on early Tuesday morning. Didn't they launch early Tuesday morning? Because we covered the launch. And then the spacewalk was Thursday early morning. Anyways. Thank you, Leonette, for your support. Chiba says Tuesday morning. Zach says early Tuesday morning. I don't know how close that platform thing is to where the capsule is right now. That I don't know. All right, hold on. Let me get you the audio back.
Is what will lift the Dragon capsule up and into that nest there at the end that nest will then translate to the forward end of the boat, or excuse me, the recovery vessel, and that's where we'll let them hang out while we open up the side hatch.
Oh, wow. That
Look
is
at that.
just an incredible view.
Video.
Some great lights, some
incredible
clear water.
There's the capsule right there.
Yeah, the moon in the background, and all brought to you
They should make posters
by
out of this. Look at this. Look at this.
I loved hearing that Haley's first thing coming out of the capsule was eating fried
Dragon
chicken.
SpaceX, be advised, transitioning forward link. Comm will be unavailable for a little less than 5 minutes.
Amazing view.
Copy that, SpaceX.
Yeah, getting some fried chicken fresh off the Dragon capsule. And also another cool full circle moment with Anil, that is Anna Menon's husband, was the flight surgeon that greeted the Inspiration 4 crew, which is really cool. And now Anna has completed her mission in space. Just so cool to see that full circle moment. Again, I can't believe this is all happening on the same day that the Inspiration 4 launched 3 years ago.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, so we can start to see the recovery team getting closer to the Dragon capsule, one of the fast boats there in the background, as well as the capsule itself coming into view. This arch rather, that you see in a perfectly vertical position, that will actually extend out to about 45 degrees or so. And it will happen quite quickly. Basically, once all of the straps are in place and secure and tight, that arm will extend. You can see a protective buoy there at the end of the vessel to help make sure that nothing comes into contact with the Dragon capsule. But once those straps are attached and that arm, that hydraulic arch is extended out, the Dragon capsule will actually be lifted up and out of the water pretty efficiently and placed into that circular basket-looking thing, or what we call it a nest. And that is basically the landing point for the Dragon capsule. You can see it has a bit of a concave shape to help support the similarly concave shaped heat shield at the bottom of the Dragon capsule.
And once the Dragon capsule is in the Dragon nest, it will translate and move forward towards the front of the boat, actually more towards the middle of the boat, to a platform. As you probably can see on the Dragon capsule, the hatch is about in the middle of the Dragon capsule. So there is a platform for when they open up that hatch that it is very easy to exit the capsule to the platform.
Now, while we can't see the crew themselves, they are remaining in their seats and strapped in with their safety harnesses. But at this point in time, they have opened up their visor, excuse me, as the dynamic portion of flight has concluded. We do continue to flow some cool nitrox, or nitrogen-oxygen air mixture, in through their suits to help keep them comfortable during this phase. But they are also, at this point in time, allowed to retrieve their water bottles, which had previously been stored for re-entry. So, they're able to stay cool and hydrated and just hang out and enjoy the last few minutes within
look at that. What a crazy view.
For the last 5 days.
Really cool.
They've done a lot of great work this week, so they get a little bit of time to relax and patiently wait as
look at this.
They wait for that hatch to open and get that first fresh breath of air.
Drones are incredible. Look at technology's incredible these days. Look at that. You can see this drone taking this shot.
Again,
right here.
Just some great views here. This is the recovery vessel with the helipad on top of it. Again,
Game
a
Slayer
helicopter is going to land on that pad there, board the crew, and take them back to land very quickly, back to their families and friends that will hopefully be there to greet them back to Earth.
I love this drone shot that we have. First time we've had a view like this for our recovery operations. And it's
Dragon SpaceX comm check.
Dragon, as you loud and clear, how many?
Loud and clear. Forward link transition complete.
Copy that, SpaceX.
All right, we can see the recovery team continuing to pull the Dragon capsule a little bit closer. There's still one individual there in the bucket where the main parachutes are stored during flight.
Well, there's a person still in that on the outside of the capsule there. Crazy. Look, they're pulling it in.
Basically at the top of what is the side hatch, there's another bucket, and that's where the drogue parachutes
pulling
are located.
them in. Wow, it's almost there.
Dragon SpaceX, rigging complete, approximately 5 minutes until capsule lift.
5 minutes till capsule lift.
Copy that. 5 minutes till capsule lift.
And again, the core communicating to the crew as they can't see outside of the capsule, so there's a lot of movements going on. There's a lot of sounds that they're going to be hearing, and there you can see the hydraulic lift mechanism lowering into position.
Whoa! Look at this.
In preparation for lifting the Dragon capsule out of the water.
We'll see the recovery team individual who's there placing those attachment straps onto the straps that he's already basically put around the circumference of the Dragon capsule. That individual will climb up a little bit higher on the capsule and then jump off into the dark water. And here's a cool view from above that helicopter pad. That is where the helicopter will land and take the 4 crew members back to land. So about 5 minutes, well, at this point, 4 minutes until the capsule is lifted out of the water.
Cash App says, I bet the boat wasn't cheap. A lot of this was paid for by Jared Isaacman, who is the commander of the crew, who was the first one to make the private spacewalk on Thursday. He paid for a lot of this. He is a billionaire entrepreneur. It's just funny when you watch all this stuff and you're like, who paid for all this? Well, he paid for a lot of it. We don't know exactly how much.
Dragon SpaceX, brace for capsule lift.
Wow, capsule lift.
Thanks for bracing.
Capsule lift
it's
coming up, guys.
Warm water, Kate.
Yeah, you know what? Sea creatures love warm water too. In my head.
Does he get to keep it? Says Chiba.
We can see the Dragon capsule now.
Whoa!
Coming
It's lifting.
Out of the water.
It's lifting. They're lifting the capsule.
First view of that well-loved heat shield at the bottom of the Dragon.
They're lifting the capsule.
Dragon now completely out of the water and will be lowered onto that cradle there.
Amazing. They're still
Once
in there.
The Dragon capsule is lowered.
The crew is still in
see
there.
The recovery team, who are obviously out of the way for safety reasons at this point in time. But once the capsule is translated and secured, we'll see them begin to hose it down with fresh water. As we reuse these capsules,
they reuse the capsules. Incredible.
Minimize the effects of corrosion, which of course
and the rockets
due to salt water. So we will actually begin to see not only that basin where the main parachutes were located, that will get rinsed out, as well as the overall capsule.
Dintro says it's standard procedure when recovering Dragon capsule. Yeah, I just haven't watced this part before.
The crew is now
I think
on
it's really cool.
the recovery vessel, probably
hatch
their
open.
First moment of a little bit more stability being back on Earth.
Next, the hatch is open.
Again, what will happen next is once the Dragon capsule is fully seated in the nest, and we'll remove all the rigging from the capsule, that will then translate that capsule and move it forward to a platform.
Dragon SpaceX, welcome aboard the recovery vessel. Recovery personnel are completing final checks. Stand by for translation to the egress platform.
Copy that, SpaceX. Standing by.
Our viewer... Great news there. And it looks like actually the estimation for lift was we completed it 2 minutes early. So like I said, it's a pretty efficient operation. The recovery team, not only have they performed this on numerous actual human space flight missions, but also in rehearsals and training procedures of their own.
This is Our viewer, Auntie Kane, points out that this is the Crew Dragon Resilience, which has been used 3 times. This is the 3rd time this capsule's been used.
Have donned some PPE once again. These are respirators that help to ensure that if there are any lingering hypergolic fumes, that they will not be exposed to it. So they are actually installing plugs into basically the outlet of those Draco thrusters and performing additional hypergolic sniffs to ensure that there are no residual fumes.
Thanks to Switch the Channel, who says the capsule is just a massive version of a smartphone full of tech and sealed off from extreme conditions, takes quite a beating.
Once they install all of the necessary Draco plugs, they will continue with a final round of detection checks. And
Dragon SpaceX, looking for your okay to come on board with cameras.
Come on board with cameras! Come on board with cameras! But this is the 3rd flight of this capsule.
SpaceX Dragon, you're welcome aboard with the cams.
Flew in 2020 and 2021. Jared Isaacman was on the Inspiration 4 mission in 2021, I think it was. It's the same capsule. Thanks to Carol as well. I appreciate that, Carol. Thank you. They're going on board with cameras. Maybe the cameras are already on board?
Recovery team continuing with the installation of those safety plugs to help prevent any fumes from the Draco thrusters. Our Draco engines utilize hypergolic propellants, and those are toxic to humans, of course, and so we want to ensure the safety of our recovery team as well as the Polaris Dawn crew. So we're going to close up those thrusters and perform some additional fume checks before allowing anyone to approach. Oh, our first view inside the capsule post splashdown. Got some happy faces, visors up, and then seatbelts on.
Yeah.
The classic kid thumbs up.
Yes, I love it.
Yep. I've actually been following along with I've been following along with the procedures that they have on their tablets. They're located on their legs, and it's actually written into their procedure to remain seated and restrained, just in case if anybody inside was feeling daring. They are still required to keep all hands inside the ride at all times.
Yeah, that is actually very important. They have been out in space for 5 days. They don't have gravity, forcing their muscles to be working the way that we utilize them here on Earth. So it is important that when they do take their first steps, that we have some of the crew and the medical team there to support them in case they need any help.
Absolutely.
Again, it's only been 5 days. The Inspiration 4 crew did 3 days, and they were able to pretty easily walk out of the capsule, but we'll see how this crew does back on gravity.
Yeah. Everyone seems to be pretty calm and collected and just chilling out as they await for the Dragon capsule to be translated. Looks like that should be happening just in the next couple couple of minutes as the recovery team completes their safety installations and removing some harnessing connections. That nest that the Dragon capsule is in will move toward the forward end of the vessel, where there is basically in the central part of the vessel there is a deck where SpaceX crew members are standing by, and as Jesse said, will be able to assist the astronauts if necessary to get out of the capsule or egress, as we say.
And a cool view here, just looking from behind the seats. On your left-hand side is Commander Jared Isaacman, and your right-hand side is our pilot, Kid Poteet.
you can kind of get a feel for the difference in seat position in terms of the position that it's in now and the position that the seats were in while the crew was still in space. The warning and the 1.21 gigawatts stickers were a little bit closer to us, I feel like. So
I'm going to read a couple of your comments. Sarah says, truly amazing, thankful they're back safe. Our viewer, Jake from State Farm, says, this is not SpaceX's first rodeo.
While they were in flight.
Mike Abe 100 says, very amazing.
Dragon resilience has been successful. Well, first of all, it made an on-time splashdown in the, I guess this would be, considered in the Florida Keys down near at Dry Tortugas. And they had a pretty quick recovery out of the water. They are now on the recovery vessel and standing by for the final preparations performed by the recovery team prior to basically opening that side hatch. Once again, this will be the first time that the Polaris Dawn crew will have fresh air. It'll be fresh, salty, fishy air, but fresh air nonetheless. And there we can see the Dragon capsule now being moved toward the central part of the ship. You can see
wow, really nice.
There are some SpaceX crew members also wearing respirators, once again, as we will perform the final hypergolic safety sniffing tests. As I mentioned earlier, beginning to spray the Dragon capsule down with fresh water to try and rinse that salt water off of the metallic components.
Yeah, they're certainly going with some speed.
This is very exciting. We're just a few minutes away. There's still some more procedures that they have to go through in order to open that hatch, but just a few minutes away from hatch opening. And again, the first person that will meet them will be the flight surgeon who will enter the capsule and make sure that the crew is feeling good and ready to exit their seats.
Would I do it? I mean, it's hard to be in that closed-in environment for that many days. I mean, I really respect they can do it. I'm sure it'd be amazing to do it, but it's challenging.
Capsule carrying the Polaris
I think
Dawn
I'd be scared.
Splashed down just 41 minutes ago at 12:36 a.m. Pacific time, 3:36 a.m.
We'll do a poll.
East Coast time. And here we are 40 minutes later. Pretty quick operations by the recovery teams in terms of getting over to where the capsule landed, getting the parachutes out of the water, and adhering the required straps, and ultimately lifting the Dragon capsule up onto the recovery vessel, as we just saw a few minutes ago.
We're going to do a poll. Would you do a
right
space
now, the
mission
recovery
like
team
this?
Outside of the Dragon capsule, like I said before, spraying down the capsule with some fresh water.
Dragon SpaceX, stand by for side hatch opening and egress.
Side hatch opening.
All right,
coming
good news
up.
there.
Copy that, SpaceX. We're standing by.
Looks like those safety checks were quick and successful as everyone has doffed their respirators.
56% of people.
Oh,
hold on.
You can see
here, the hatch is open.
The hatch is open.
Hatch is open.
I just heard cheering from a distant part of the building. I have a feeling that came from the Dragon teams at their computers. That was pretty cool.
I asked if you'd do a mission like this. On Twitch, the vote is 50-50. On YouTube, it's 57% no and 43% yes.
The flight surgeon doing initial medical checks, making sure that everybody is feeling good. I have a feeling by his smiling face, he's getting 4 smiling faces in return.
Crazy. One of our viewers said with SpaceX,
Polaris
yes,
Dawn
with
crew
Boeing, no.
has now officially taken their first breath of Earth air.
Crazy.
In the last 5 days.
Thanks, Switch the Channel, who says, in 30 years, I would trust the tech.
Basically putting up some protective fixtures around the side hatch in order to ensure that as the crew egresses and gets assisted as they come out of the capsule, that they don't hurt the side hatch seals or themselves. Obviously want to protect the individuals as well.
Again, thanks to Switch the Channel, who says, in 30 years, I would trust the tech. Dr. McRib says, I do it if I was by myself and no other people. Debbie Kirkham says, I won't even get on a plane.
And super exciting.
You're in pretty tight quarters for 5 days.
Prepping the Dragon capsule for the crew egress. And there is, they're going to be removing their harnesses, removing any equipment out of the way to ensure.
Thank you, Smoke and Thrills, who says, yes, 110% yes, absolutely would a dream.
Even the flight surgeon has to be assisted. It's some tough maneuvering.
There they are. There. Look at that. It's not that big. They have to be in there for 5 days, guys. It's not that big in there.
So we'll start to see the footrests. The recovery team will come in. And
look at it. It's so small.
Our Polaris Dawn crew. Our first live view with the side hatch open, fist pumps, thumbs up. I'm sure if we had audio, there would be some cheers as well.
No Mandate says, I'm too claustrophobic for that tight of a space.
Sure,
and people are using the bathroom in there and stuff. It's crazy.
Mission complete, like they said, after 5 days of some historic milestones.
That smiling face there in the side hatch taking pictures, I'm sure that is John Kraus, also known as Snap. He is I believe, the content director for the Polaris Dawn program. I'm sure it's an exciting moment to be able to capture, both with video and photo, the smiling faces of the crew members. Now we can see some SpaceX crew members. Recovery team, they'll come in, they will start to remove the footrests at the bottoms of each seat. That will help give a little bit more moving room, or I should say area to for folks to get in and help our 4 Polaris Dawn astronauts get out a little bit easier.
Thanks, Smoke and Thrill. Smoke and Thrill says,
being removed there, as Kate mentioned.
Smoke and Thrill says, how many people get to go and say, I've been to space? Thank you, Smoke and Thrills.
Fun fact about those footrests, they are custom sized for each astronaut, as well as the armrests. So each armrest and footrest basically comes in like a small, medium, or large option, and depending on, the foot length and the arm length of each individual, they get the appropriate size for their body measurements.
Yeah, I mean, that goes with the seats themselves, the suits themselves are all customized to each individual astronaut and crew member. Basically, they get a customized version just for themselves for these missions.
Now we can see that, the crew members are now able to undo their safety harnesses, their 5-point safety straps, and I guess that would be the last step before being able to get out. Now it seems as though the first person to come out will be Anna Menon, who is on the far right side as we are looking at it. She is in seat 4. Yeah. So Anna is now making her way with this assisted egress.
Thanks to Shogun Orta, who points out that the 1.21 gigawatts is a reference to Back to the Future.
Mission specialist Anna Menon.
Oh, there she is. There she is. She's standing. All right, she made it out.
Yes.
So happy.
She works at SpaceX. She works at SpaceX.
So excited.
Welcome back to Earth, Anna.
Her family must be happy, you know?
We heard Haley Arsenault, who was one of the mission specialists, and she for the Inspiration 4 mission. We heard her say that Jared always let the ladies go first, and so I have a feeling that Sarah might be the next one to egress here. Yep, we can see her now getting out of her seat. She and Anna had the 2 window seats.
Very cool. This is the other other engineer, SpaceX engineer, getting out now.
SpaceX team assisting her to make sure that she doesn't hit
cool.
the side
Very
hatch
cool.
in any way.
Yay!
So much excitement. Our second SpaceXer to fly in space. Mission specialist Sarah Gillis back on Earth.
Probably a little hard to walk
So
after
cool
that whole
to see
mission.
her.
Very neat.
Now,
very
egressing is our pilot, Kid Poteet. I would bet good money that we're going to see some thumbs up once Kid exits. It's pretty cool to see that they are coming out, standing up on their own 2 feet and walking off.
SpaceX, Dragon, this is the final call. Sign up.
Some dance moves.
That's pretty great. I think that move should be added to the required choreography for human spaceflight missions. You know, we have the astronaut lean back when they approach their rocket on launch day. The kid shuffle, I think, should be the next one for post egress. We heard Jared get one last call out on the loops before egressing himself.
Here's Jared Isaacman, who paid for a lot of this flight.
And the final Polaris Dawn crew member egressing Dragon Resilience, Commander Jared Isaacman.
He took the first private spacewalk ever on Thursday.
Our second frequent flyer in Dragon, completing his second mission in space.
In that capsule. Second mission in that capsule.
For a second, I thought... For a second, I thought he was saying goodbye to his spacecraft, but it turns out he was saying goodbye to the people still in there, assisting him with his egress. So incredible to see. What a day! What a week!
What a week!
Very cool. Very cool.
And
very
now
cool.
with our Polaris Dawn crew safely back home on Earth and getting checked out by our medical team. What an incredible and exciting mission this has been. Next up, the crew will actually catch a helicopter flight back to shore where they will rejoin their families.
Over the 5-day mission, Polaris Dawn set records and marked a few firsts that are critical to SpaceX's long-term plans for making humanity a multi-planetary species. After lifting off on Tuesday, September 10th at 5:23 a.m. Eastern Time from Launch Complex 39A at the Kennedy Space Center, Dragon climbed to an apogee of just over 1,408 kilometers, flying further than any Dragon to date and traveling further from Earth than any humans since the end of the Apollo program. Then on September 12th, SpaceX teams and the Polaris Dawn crew successfully conducted the first spacewalk from Dragon, testing our new in-house developed EVA suits and procedures that will be critical for building bases and cities on the Moon and Mars.
Yeah, and it was so cool to watch that. The crew also performed a number of science and research experiments while in orbit, including 36 research studies and experiments designed to advance both human health on Earth and during long duration spaceflight. And over the course of the mission, the crew demonstrated Starlink's power to transform the way we communicate with spacecraft and people in low Earth orbit, including that incredible music moment, which I've watched many times and will continue to watch even more. Now, our future in space is definitely bright, and it's really exciting to think about where we will be in the not too distant future. With all of that, thank you so much for joining us tonight and all week. As always, be sure to check x.com/SpaceX for updates. I'm Kate Tice.
And I'm Jesse Anderson. Thank you to everyone for being with us this week for the Polaris Dawn mission, and have an incredible night.
That was very cool. I'm so glad we got to see that. Great job, SpaceX, with all that video. All right, we did it. We did. I didn't do anything, but they did it. We watched it. We watched it while they did it. How about that? That was cool. Really neat, really neat. By the way, thanks to Purple Cat Audio. Purple Cat Audio says, in 1969, I witnessed Apollo 11 to the moon. 55 years later, we have a successful Polaris mission with private spacewalk. The technology is amazing. It's just amazing. Debbie Aguilar says, that was great. Wen's Trend says, that was great. Snook Aru says, awesome event. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I hadn't watched one of these the whole way through, so I didn't know we'd get that video at the end of the recovery, which was really, really cool. Wow, we got to see 2 splashdowns. Well, no, the other one was a landing, but we got to see 2 space landings. What was it, in a week? Was it a week ago when we watched the Boeing Starliner one? That one was on land. This one was on the water. Really, really neat. Really, really neat. And we saw the spacewalk too. Really neat. Take some more comments. Oh, Game Slayer said there was a second NASA plane that didn't show up on flight radar. Maybe there was. I wasn't aware of that. Let's see here. Yeah, those are both really cool. A helicopter took off headed that way. I don't see the helicopter on flight radar. I was looking on Flight Radar 24 for the helicopter. I didn't see it. I mean, I would think it's pretty... I don't think it's... Maybe it's just not showing up on Flight Radar. I looked at ADS-B Exchange as well. Oh, I see it. I think I see it. I think I see the helicopter. I got it, right? There's the helicopter right there. There it is right there. It's this one. That's it. Private owner. That must be it, right? Is that it? Is that the helicopter right there or no? Am I crazy? From Fort Myers? I think that's it right there. It's got to go all the way down here, though. It's got to go all the way to... That'll take a while to get there. It's got to go all the way over... Where's Dry Tortugas? Oh, no, here. It's got to go here. Yeah, so it'll probably take a little while to get there. If I go back here, what I'll do is map Flight Radar 24. It's going 127 knots. Yeah, I think that's going to take a little while. Anyways, I appreciate Flight Radar 24 letting me show their flight radar, by the way. So that helicopter will go pick them up. Assuming that's the one. I assume that's the one. I don't know what else is flying out there at that moment, but I'm going to assume that's the one. I'm not sure. Tressa liked when the parachutes opened up. Hey, look, guys, look at this. NASA, AP likes mentioning tech billionaire in their headlines. They have a picture up, AP. Tech billionaire returns to Earth after first private spacewalk. They got some pictures up there on the AP article. Look at that. A billionaire spacewalker returned to Earth with his crew on Sunday, ending a 5-day trip that lifted them higher than anyone has traveled since NASA's moonwalkers. Tech entrepreneur Jared Isaacman, 2 SpaceX engineers, and a former Air Force Thunderbird pilot. Okay. Isaacman was only the 264th person to perform a spacewalk ever, and he was the first private spacewalk ever. Until now, all spacewalks were done by professional astronauts, well, who were working for governments. The company usually splashes down closer to the Florida coast, but 2 weeks of poor weather forecasts prompted them to look elsewhere. Okay. This was Jared Isaacman's second chartered flight with SpaceX, with 2 more still ahead under his personally financed space exploration program named Polaris after the North Star. Let me read you guys this again. This was Jared Isaacman's second chartered flight with SpaceX, with 2 more still ahead under his personally financed space exploration program named Polaris after the North Star. He paid an undisclosed sum for his first space flight in 2021, taking along contest winners and a pediatric cancer survivor while raising more than $250 million for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. For the just completed Polaris Dawn's mission, the founder and CEO of the Shift4 credit card processing company shared the cost with SpaceX. Isaacman won't divulge how much he spent. So that's interesting there. Let's see here. Dr. McRib says, better that the billionaire spent his money on this rather than a new yacht. Hey, thanks Bebop and Rocksteady. I appreciate that. Who says, go billionaires. Thank you also, Robin Ridge, for your support. Havasubam says, sounds like a great guy. Thomas Darwin says, got some bucks. Hang on a second here. Give me a moment. Give me 1 second here. Oh, this is interesting. Hey, guys, I just saw a report that Michael Horowitz, who I follow, says Lebanese media outlets are reporting that the Israeli Defense Forces dropped leaflets ordering the evacuation of an area in southern Lebanon. So I don't know what all that's going to mean. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm not going to talk about that on this stream, though. Let me just update you on this. Manny Fabian says Lebanese media report that the Israeli army dropped flyers in the southern Lebanon border village of Wazani, calling on civilians in the area to evacuate. The flyers call on people in the highlighted areas on the border with Israel to evacuate before 4 p.m. because of Hezbollah activity in the area. There is no immediate comment from the IDF on the flyers. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that. Hang on here. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. Yes, as one of our viewers said, it is JSSS. It is 11:40 a.m. in Israel and Lebanon. We'll take a few more comments on this. The Washington Post has a report about the mission ending, saying the mission was commissioned by Jared Isaacman, who made a fortune as founder of Shift 4 Payments and did not involve NASA. Isaacman has not said how much he paid SpaceX for the flight. Also, a Washington Post says the mission's main focus was testing SpaceX's sleek new spacesuit, which is designed to protect astronauts from radiation and extreme temperatures while keeping them safe in the vacuum of space. The splashdown tonight, says Washington Post, caps a slew of recent wins for SpaceX, which has ferried NASA astronauts back and forth from the International Space Station since it successfully completed a crewed test 4 years ago. For the next flight of the Polaris project, the next Polaris mission, Jared Isaacman has proposed flying to the Hubble telescope and raising its orbit, which, if successful, could extend its life. So, who knows if that'll happen. Okay. Thank you, by the way, to Sadi BB for your support from Canada, who says, seeing how much progress has been made in space exploration, even just within 20 years of my life, even just within 20 years of life, I can't describe my excitement for what's to come. So many space flights these days. Okay. Take a few more comments here. The Power of Dreams says, I just told you that about the Hubble telescope. Well, I'm sorry, I can't literally read every message in the chat and do the broadcast. Then the whole broadcast would literally be me just reading every message in the chat and not saying anything or looking anywhere else. We talked about the Hubble telescope thing on an earlier broadcast. Jebby Loves Yarn says, is Jared Isaacman married? That I do not know. All right, it's late. It's 4:43 a.m., guys. It's 4:43 a.m. And then what is this? Some people are talking about new missions coming up. All right. I think I'm going to wrap this up. It's late. It's late. It's interesting stuff. We'll do more coverage of this. We'll do more coverage, but it's 4:44 a.m. here. It's 4:44 a.m. So we'll cover more space stuff. We will definitely cover more space stuff, but it's getting close to that time, guys. All right, it's time. SpaceX is posting some photos and stuff on their social media. Oh, hold on. Let me just make sure. Some people sent me some other stuff. True Brit said, what an incredible thing to witness. Thanks for covering this. Thanks, True Brit, for writing in. I missed that earlier from True Brit. And Okay. All right, so again, I really appreciate you joining me for this. This was really fun to cover and really neat to see and fun to watch with all of you guys. So I really appreciate you joining me overnight for this stream. So thank you for being here and thank you for watching the channel. And this is Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news. If there's big news later today and I can not be sleeping, then I will be covering it. If there's big enough news, I'll just wake up and cover it. But subscribe and follow the channel. Oh, I didn't even mention something. You know, I was wearing these new, for those of you who were here last broadcast, I was talking about my headphones. These are not the same earbuds. I'm trying a new pair. These are a little different than the AirPods. They're made by Earfun. They don't sponsor me. I wish they did. I like these a lot. They have better battery life. So these are different. I tried them out. They worked really well. I think I might keep these. I think I'm going to keep these new earbuds. I like these. They're a little different shape than the old than the Apple ones. They're cheaper too, but that's not why I bought them. But they worked great. They worked really good, and the battery life is longer. So hopefully it can avoid having to change headphones so much when the battery runs out. Earfun, EARFUN. But I think I'm going to keep them. I like them a lot. For what I'm using them for, I think they look fine too. For what I'm using them for, they seem to work. And nobody said they look stupid. So, Earfun something something. What are they? I think it's the Earfun Air Pro 4. Earfun Air Pro 4. I'm an Amazon affiliate. I'll post an affiliate link. That's what I'll do. I can do that. Maybe I can do that real quick. Now nobody's going to be watching this. Who's even still watching me talk about my earbuds? I'm gonna post an affiliate link really quick. Amazon associate. I'm sorry. So you can go check them out. And then if you actually buy them, then I think I get like a small cut. But the price is the same to you. All right, I'm posting the affiliate link to these. By the way, there was a coupon when I got them at a discount. Amazon was having a sale on it. Oh, and I found like a coupon code online somewhere. Anyways, here's the link. I'm putting just the way it works with the link is if you use the link and you buy them, it's the same price to you, but I get a little piece of it. Basically, that's how it works with Amazon Associates. Link to earbuds. All right, so you've been given full disclosure. It's an Amazon link. I just posted it. If you're not interested, I'm sorry to have wasted your last 2 minutes of your life. But anyways. But look around, you might be able to find, there was like a CNN article with a coupon code in it, but there's also a coupon they have on the site, I believe, right now on Amazon. But if you're thinking of getting them, just look around online, see if you can find the coupon code. Look for the CNN review of these earphones and you'll find a coupon code in that. And you might be able to add that on. Anyways, enough of this. Enough of me talking about the link to my earbuds. More important matters are, let me thank our moderators for being here. Havasu Mom was moderating. Thank you so much, Havasu Mom. Really appreciate it. Good seeing you as well. Cynthia Moon as well. Thanks so much for moderating on YouTube. Linda Belk and Larry on X. We couldn't have chat rooms without our moderators, you know. LB Prairie Dawn, I got that fire, and all of our Twitch moderators. Kay Lowry Body, Raven Lynn, Ronald Egnor over there on Facebook. Thank you so much for moderating. I really appreciate it. And also, hey, thanks to Mayfield Pemberley for the bits on Twitch. And, and Twitch added some bits. Thanks, Twitch, for adding bits to Mayfield's bits. Diplomod, thanks for subscribing on Twitch. Top Buzz, thank you for subscribing on Twitch. Mr. Neo Trip, thanks for the bits, who said this was pretty cool to watch live. Thank you. Thanks to everybody who donated too. That's so nice of you. Shout out to Mr. Blanks a lot and everybody else who donated. I think I got everybody earlier. You're the ones who support this channel and allow it to exist and allow me to buy footage and stuff. So thank you If you ever want to donate to the channel, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. And the helicopter's almost there, said one of our viewers, Game Slayer. I don't know that it's almost there. That's on flight radar. Well, I'm not waiting for it to get there. But there's the helicopter. It's got to go down here. Look, it's got to go all the way down here. It's up here. Oh, no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong about that. It doesn't have to go all the way down there because they landed about, it's probably more like here. They're pretty close now because I forgot that the landing site was like about 30 miles or so from what I could gather, north of Dry Tortugas. Yeah, the helicopter's almost there, but we're not staying on for the helicopter on Flight Radar. You can watch that. Go to flightradar24.com, flightradar24.com, or get the Flight Radar 24 app, and you can watch the helicopter. Is there merch? Yeah, the mods will post the link to the merch. We got some merch for this channel. There's a merch link which lists all the merch. Thanks to turn the notifications on for the channel. I can't tell you in advance when we're going live and covering news. Oh, the helicopter might have just, by the way, on Flight Radar it disappeared, but it's still on ADSB Exchange. You can go to ADSB Exchange, although I don't know if it's still moving on ADSB Exchange. Yes. By the way, I actually got really nicely permission from ADSB Exchange to show their flight tracker. So this is ADSB Exchange. So it looks like the helicopter's not on Flight Radar at the moment, but you can also check out adsbexchange.com, their flight tracker, and you can look at it over there. Go to both flight trackers. They're both good. Flight Radar 24 and ADSB Exchange. I appreciate them both, and I also appreciate N2YO.com for letting me use their space tracker. Thank you. Really nice of them. Hey, sign up for our notifications. They're free. You'll get notified whenever we go live for breaking news. They work really well. The mods will post the link to the notifications in the chat, and also you can find our notifications link in our Facebook and YouTube description for this broadcast. If you watch us on YouTube, by the way, if you watch us on YouTube, make sure you turn notifications on YouTube. You got to do this. To get the YouTube notifications, you got to subscribe, and then you got to click this bell here, and then you choose all notifications. That's how you get the YouTube notifications. Okay, also, shout out to our subscribers on Twitch. You guys are awesome. Really appreciate it. The Valid Koala says, any news coverage planned for tomorrow? I cover the big news when it happens. If there's big enough news, I'll cover it. That's my plan. My plan is to cover the big news if it happens. Thanks to subscribers on Twitch, like I Got That Fire. I got to sleep a little, guys. It's 4:53 a.m. I Got That Fire, Mayfield, Pemberley, Citizens 07, AgriJag TV, thanks for subscribing. Of 9, Rocky Coast. Jack's Animals, thanks for subscribing. All of our Twitch subscribers, thank you. Citizens 07, did I say? I Got That Fire, thank you. Our Facebook subscribers too, like Marie Minicello, Barb Fleener. Thanks, Barb, for shouting out the mods as well. And thanks, Ian Holiday, for your kind words. Barb, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for subscribing, Robert Rial II, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Eve Richards, Diane Allworth, and all of our other subscribers over there on Facebook. And our YouTube members, thank you. Our YouTube members, like Joe South Oz, and Turnt Off, and Sarah, and PZ Papazulu, and Jelly Plane, and Cheryl Simpson, Corey B, Lucky Minute, Pam Turner, Bella Zadist, Andrea Cupcake, Sajelli, Robin Skeety, Sarah Jane Jones, Cheryl Simpson, Dr. McRib. I missed somebody who's a member. I know. Don. and all of our other members. Rob Van Roy from the Netherlands. Jomo1965. Oh, thanks, Bob Piffle, for your support. Bob says, never saw stuff like that before. Thanks, Bob. That's really nice of you. And all of our other viewers. Thanks to our other, like Tressa and Sonic Teal and Whitney Katz and Kimberly Stoller and Ian Holiday. Oh, Paul Anderson was modding too. Marjorie Jones, thanks for watching. Shayna Braun, she says it was worth staying awake for. Sue Magario says, having been able to have views from inside the capsule makes the whole experience more enjoyable and personal. Very enjoyable and personal. They do a great job at SpaceX having the camera angles and stuff. Michael DeStefano says, exceptional cameras, videos. Thanks, Virenda Kumar, for watching too. And Calvin Buckholtz Jr. No, Calvin, I couldn't find any recovery vessels on marinetraffic.com. I looked. And also all of our other viewers, I really appreciate it. All right, guys. Zambo33, Pineways, thank you. And all of our other viewers. All right, guys. I'm wrapping up this stream. JD, why have you twice said your Twitter page is down when it's not down? I'm looking at my Twitter page. Why do people post false stuff in the chat? JD, why? Why? And you did it twice. It's not. I'm literally looking at my Twitter page. I'll show it to you. It's right here. It's working. Why are you saying it's down? Why would you say that in the chat? Yes, as Notorious Rob says, stop it. Okay. That's it. Hey, Roddy Mom says, thanks for streaming the Splashdown. It never gets old. Yeah, it was really cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in. And maybe we will have more live coverage later today for you, depending on the news. But I got to sleep some. All right. And thanks again so much about the mods. That is it. Thanks, not about the mods. Thanks so much to the mods. I really appreciate it. All right. That is it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon. Oh, and speaking of my Twitter, which actually is working, notwithstanding what somebody in the chat says, my Twitter is working fine. You can follow me on Twitter for breaking news updates at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. And you can follow Agenda Free TV for programming updates at Agenda Free TV. All right. That is it for now. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon with more live coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.